Welcome, everybody.
Let's go. Happy Tuesday evening. I hope you're ready to see Stormcast defeat
Evil Khorne. Loving. Murder your way and have fun doing it. And our
I don't really.
absolutely. Anyway, welcome to the Weirdcast. If it's Tuesday, it's not Warhammer. It is Sigmar. How are you, beautiful people, doing? Like Spencer said, we are here. Stormcast, veritable narrative battle for.
I get in chat.
Oh.
Whoa.
I don't even make. Bog.
Okay, well, it's
Gonna be very fun.
lads. So
I'm Eli Ramos, resident lizard player. X's, but I very much do Chaos Gods, and here I am rooting today. The Blades of Khorne, played by Jeff Adis. Might know in the community. All of that work.
hey,
I would very much love to have my selection. That would be one.
well,
James says. Yeah, sure. Ditched me.
Hey,
He used to be lizards, guys. Too. Everybody ditches.
chaos.
Does dab a little. Like I said, Khorne via Khorne versus Gas, which is kind of a very classic narrative in terms of Age of Sigmar and the mortal Sigmar being like paragon of order and justice in the mortal realms, and Khorne being kind of the poster child god going back decades when it comes to
Hey.
Yeah. Do that?
All
I can
out.
do that.
So if you already that like, that subscribe button, that fun stuff out of the way.
Please.
I mean,
I refuse to
give
call
it
it
to
by
you.
that silly little name.
X gonna
Nope.
go
Perfect 10 out of 10 joke, but I
across
refuse.
the-
At Duh Weirdcast.
So let's head. Thank you very much for joining.
First
That
real stream.
last week.
Our two players here, Joe and Jeff, are both visiting the wonderful state of Missouri next weekend. This upcoming weekend, in fact, all this terrain that Jeff has been building that you'll see on the table is being brought there to be played. So you get a very own slice of what that GT is going to be. And then casted by our lovely and faces. It is October 21st, 22nd, which, like I said, is this upcoming weekend. It's 54 players, so it's going to be a nice little sized in Springfield. Big highlight on the rules is that it's just basic differential scoring, so 0 to 20 based on your scoring total. Got a normal roll off for attacker defender. However, sets up the terrain, so unlike a normal pack, there's not as much to getting defender other than choosing territory, which is normally an attacker ability. Attacker just gets to deploy first, which could be very relevant to choose, but defender is still typically pretty important. Like I said, terrain is preset by the TOs. It's marked with defensible, impassable, and fearing. And anything that is 4 inches or taller is just automatically impassable. Makes sense. Just go ahead and say that Gargans can't walk across it anyway. And that mysterious terrain is going to be used. It is mandatory unless you both agree not to use it. Pretty normal rule at GT. The cool thing, what makes this event kind of unique relative to others, is awards. We got this cool thing that I haven't seen anywhere else called the Highlander Award.
Eli, I don't know if you saw online.
Yeah, you want to come? You want to peek over here a little bit?
So, cool thing about that is, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, they're giving out a fucking sword.
Giant ass sword, and it says the Highlander. because there can only be one. And for those of you that don't understand what Highlander refers to, it's any list that has at least 9 or more different units, and that there are no duplicated units. I believe both our players are playing a Highlander list, or is it just Jeff? I know Jeff was going for it. Okay, so it's just the Khorne list that's playing a Highlander list. Joe was too much of a coward and had to repeat a war scroll. What war scroll? I don't know. We'll find out together later, ladies and gents. And none of either. There's also an award called the Hard Mode Award, which is the player that gets the most wins and, secondarily, the most battle points with an army that embodies the challenge of playing Sigmar on hard mode. Player's army list must be reviewed and approved for eligibility for the.
Yeah. So one thing to note, I went ahead at all of the lists. Like, out of the 50 players, there are 19 players with a Highlander list.
Really? 19 players going for the Highlander award?
19 players with the Highlander.
And again, only one can win. So, I mean, what better fun is that? I very much love when a twist like this goes into that kind of list building. It doesn't necessarily sacrifice competitive play, which is something important to me. Integrity of it, but it is a really cool twist that you can put as an added award into a tournament.
Yeah. So I think getting the audio worked out. Hopefully y'all can now. Yeah, I think 19.
I don't like this mic in front of my face, Spencer.
Okay.
It's appearing my beautiful.
Always will. So 19 players with winning that Highlander. Over 30%. As a TO, that is the thing.
Yes.
I love the aspect as I become. Ouch. Which is perfectly. So I think overall.
Because you're not wearing a cool anime shirt like I am.
I'm just wearing a really cool Wizard of Barge Magic the Gathering shirt. Shout out, not sponsored.
This is very true.
But Dakota, if you want to sponsor me, you go right ahead. So let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit more. There's the Best Tactician Award, the Best Table, and the Cleanest Opponent.
Best Tactician's cool. They awarded to the player that gets the most battle tactics achieved and denied. So it's not just about getting all 25 of your battle tactics throughout the whole tournament. It's about also having that differential between what you get and what your opponent doesn't get being the highest.
Hey, I mean, that sounds pretty awesome to me. I really like that aspect. Additionally, like Eli mentioned, best table. Jeff is going to be in the running. I don't know how many players are taking tables, but I think y'all are going to be in for quite a treat. I know Jeff has been busting his ass getting this table done. And,
you've been paying attention on Twitter. You've probably been seeing it.
Slap chopping some Claws of Karanak as well.
Yep. And lastly, we see the cleanest opponent, players who nominate the one player who played particularly clean Warhammer. What I love about this community is that we do emphasize a lot on sportsmanship and playing good, clean games. Even the most competitive, we're not win at all costs. We do try to play to the best of our abilities and win the most that we can.
Yeah, and I really do like the distinction of cleanest opponent versus best sportsman.
Yes.
I think it really just kind of hammers home not only the are you fun to play against, are you an enjoyable person, but also did we have issues? Any issues, either sportsman conduct or otherwise, right? And
it also emphasizes that you took the time to make sure that the rules were played right and fairly on both sides. That you weren't trying to renege on something that kind of was a little flaky and a little close. You took the time to make sure that it was good, clean Warhammer.
Yeah, and it's that real cooperation. You're spending 3 hours with another player playing this game. It is a cooperative game at the end of it. Yeah, it's competitive. Yeah, someone has to come out on top or draw. Like we're playing football
over
in
in
England.
3rd edition.
But I really do think the cooperative aspect needs to be just hammered home, and I think this cleanest opponent will do that. Unfortunately, neither Eli nor myself will be joining them in Missouri, but that's okay. I've been there once. I don't know if I need to go back. All right. I think we are
Could be
good.
one on the table for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of events. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the battle plan.
Let's do it.
That's what I'll do. I'll go to table. Because I didn't make one for the so we're at the table.
Okay, I can pull up my dandy phone map for the battle plan.
All right. So they're going to be playing no reward without risk. I
There you
always
go.
get that backwards.
You and everybody else.
Really, the big things here, it is going to be a corner style deployment. So it is going to be 2 boxes, bottom left and top right, if I am correct.
You are correct.
And I think we could get that battle plan overlay up here at the top. Now, as we watch Jeff go through deployment, who is playing in the bottom left as the defender,
There's a weird little thing going on there, isn't there?
He's on the line.
Yeah. You know why that is?
Why is that, Eli?
Because the normal rule that says you have to be 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment doesn't exist in this map.
Hey, I do remember Joe saying that he wanted that 18 inches of government-mandated DMZ.
Yes, he very much likes his government-mandated 18 to 22 inches of separation.
And he is not getting that tonight.
Nope.
But that's okay.
You know what's great for Khorne, though?
What do we got?
A natural 2-up save in your face to start the game.
Listen, just because you cheat with your disgusting little skull takers doesn't mean a thing. So, let's go ahead. Let's talk about scoring.
Scoring.
So 1, 2 more.
It's pretty standard stuff. Yeah, 1, 2, and more.
Okay.
And your battle tactic.
Do we have any fancy scoring additions or anything else other than the deployment?
So there's a fancy little rule that cares about wizards dying, which is great for Jeff because he doesn't have any wizards, but Joe does. So when a wizard is slain, before removing it from play, on a 4-up, the wizard explodes and dealing D3 mortal wounds to each unit, enemy and friendly, every unit within range equal to the wound characteristic. So 9 when wizard dies, every unit within 9 inches of it takes D3 mortal wounds on a 4-up.
Is there a cap for that?
What do you mean? Is there a cap for that?
So theoretically, if I had a giant with a wizard hat on, is that a 35-inch range?
As far as I'm aware, that does not have a cap. You can,
Let's
if you have a Gargan with a wizard hat, you can in fact
Wizard
do it
hat
from
Gargans.
35 inches
And we've-
away.
all right.
Everybody takes mortal wounds.
Are you guys noticing the overlay is different than what they have set up?
Oh, it definitely is. We should definitely tell them that.
It's because it's risk without reward, right?
No reward without
Yeah.
risk. Oh yeah.
There-
So,
so-
you might notice on the screen, guys, the objectives are set in the wrong spot.
Yeah, you know what?
was
Technical
a mistake.
difficulties happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is our first official stream. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna
User error, right?
User error. Yes, but not us.
The center objective is at least in the right
the
spot.
faces are not in the issue here. So
player error, not caster error.
There you
We're not
go.
at fault.
let's go ahead. Let's run through who all we have here. So we do have Eli and myself on camera as the faces. Additionally, behind the scenes, we have Chad, who is running our stream computer, doing a great job. We've got Matt, who is going to be our little pick grot, feeding us all the juicy little details of that game.
Pick grot gives us all that. Basically, is like a, kind of a stenographer for us. They're going to give us all the juicy details. They're also going to act as an impartial judge when necessary, and they're able to switch between like dice cam and all the fun little stuff.
Yeah. And additionally, we do have Lexi, who is acting as pick grot plus.
Pick grot plus.
Pick grot prime. Who knows? I haven't taken math in a very long time, but we do have this really awesome overlay. Actually, I can't quite read what is on that tar pit. Could we maybe zoom in on that a little bit?
Can we do that?
Let's see.
This will be new to me, folks.
Oh,
I played last week. Oh
and
my god!
So we've got a piece of deadly terrain up there. Now, what you didn't see, so we have a little zoom in. We got a little bit of zoom.
Well, it makes sense that there's deadly terrain on the black pit of dirt.
That's right. Yeah. And like we covered
Full
earlier,
amberstone. You don't want to go in there.
The TO will be setting terrain. So we had Matt, our resident tournament judge, go ahead and set up terrain as most fair as he could. If we could lose the battle plan coverage, the battle plan overlay, and let's go ahead. Let's take a peek at what we've got around the table. So we've got some really nice looking ruins over there on the left side, which don't seem to have any sort of terrain rules just yet. And let's take a tour. We have some really cool looking spires, and we have the Khorne spine.
Looks like those spires are going to be acting as obscuring and sinister terrain. Makes sense. It's hard to shoot in between those rocky terrain features.
And because of how tall they are, they're also going to be impassable.
Oh yeah, they're over 4 inches tall. Automatically impassable.
What's up?
In case y'all wanted to know, guys, Joe walked in, asked for Spencer, didn't realize that he just had to cock his head 40 degrees to the right just to see him on his face. We got our own John Cena on here. The green screen effect is happening in real life. Joe shakes his head and walks off, which means I got a good one.
All right.
Looks like for the most part, the objectives are set.
Yeah, and the TO there is going ahead and just moving things around, making it a little bit more fair, considering where the deployment zones are going to be.
You know how it works out. You get to see kind of how the TO action is going to work in action on the screen. Normally, we like to have this set up before anything happens, so you just get to hear our lovely voices and see our lovely faces. Yeah. But now we get to show you this a little bit on screen.
Yeah, and so let's go ahead. Looking at this battle plan, the twist that we have of deploying on that line. I feel like it favors one army a little bit more than the other.
In this matchup? Oh, yeah.
So, what's going to happen here, Eli? What is Khorne wanting to do?
So, Khorne is probably going to want to take, at least with Jeff's construction, which we'll look at the list in a little bit. I know he's taking some Skull Takers, or Skull Crushers, I should say, that have a natural 2-up save. And he's probably going to put that right on the line. I think we caught a little bit of that on camera before things had to get a little shifted. Like I said, natural 2-up save. Probably the best pinning piece in the game right now that's not like a Khorne spine. Right?
Absolutely.
Because it's so hard to kill. They're 5-wound models. He's got 6 of them in a unit. He's going to deploy them on the line and kind of bait Joe into being like, oh, how far do you want to come up? Because if he gets him up really close, hey, guess what? Murderlust only costs 1 blood tithe, and Murderlust lets him pick a unit and move D6 inches with it at the end of the hero phase. Well, guess what that denies?
Hey, you know what, that happens. So one thing that I did see that Jeff was working on are some Claws of Karanak. Now, Eli, I don't know if you saw James West's Claws of Karanak that were a little bit Space Wolf themed.
Yeah.
They were pretty cool.
They're very feral.
They're wonderful. Hey, look at that. Thank you, El Duderino, for the follow.
Hey.
Look at that. We've got stream alerts working. What?
We love to see it.
Technology.
Thank you for showing up, dude.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's head to chat. Let's see. So
share with me. Because I'm blind and I can't read the iPad.
What do we want
to
to see? I'm going to give you that.
Give me this phone.
Oh, hey, we got Justin Jory. Thanks for the follow.
Much. Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
The hat has to be modeled. Oh! Someone commented on your Wizard Gargant.
Yeah.
If you don't have a modeled hat, doesn't count.
I hear if I paint the wizard hat while inebriated, you get +2 to cast.
It was, as someone who witnessed said drunken painting, gorgeous. Hello, Beast Lord. Thank you very much for following. We love to have you.
Oh, hey, Beast Lord is out of San Antonio. He is the
that's right.
One of the resident TOs that we have for Slambo GT coming up in 3 weeks.
3 weeks, which I will be attending. I believe you're coming too, Spencer, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna be bringing out.
What are you bringing out?
Oh, it's a little bit of a secret.
It's a little bit of a secret.
A little bit of a secret.
You sure?
I can't. Oh well, I mean, maybe some people know, some people don't, but I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Okay. If it's any secret what I'm bringing, anyone who has been around me at a GT at any point in the last year and a half, 2 years knows there's only one army I bring to an event. My gorgeous, gorgeous lizards. Not gorgeous by paint job, mind you, just gorgeous because they're lizards. Spencer has better painted lizards than I am, although you wouldn't know it because he doesn't bring them out ever.
Hey,
and
that's
I give
not
him
true.
Shit
I was
forever.
So one of the things I was doing today, before coming over, was I was going through all of my BCP game entries, and I was just curious how many events I'd been to. It's almost 40, which is absolutely insane. And something that I found there is I have a lot of games with my Seraphon, and they are all very bad, but
it is very funny that you bring that up. When I have a note on my phone, and I'm going to show you, Spencer, I'm not going to show the chat, I figured out what all my games were as well, and what my events were on my phone to figure out my win rate. It was a fun conversation I was having with some friends the other day.
Right, and what do we have?
Spencer, you are vanishing.
What do we have?
Yeah, I'm disappearing here into the thing. I guess I'll just gonna sit a little bit forward so you get to see all of my body. Lucky for you.
Put this behind you.
I know what you played last summer. Where's my Jessica Love Hewitt cameo?
Yeah, I know. Eli, would you?
Oh! Do I need to?
Yes.
Some
So,
adjustments we have here.
there we go.
Look at that.
All right, where are we at?
Well, I just dropped a poll in chat.
A poll?
Yeah. El Duderino, could you type the phrase Jeff-Khorne in chat? Here, I'm gonna try this out. Let's see.
Are you sure he even knows how to spell Khorne, Spencer?
He doesn't.
Also, we already have a request for you to take your shirt off, Spencer. Just so you know. I think it's important for you to know.
I mean, it always is.
Yes. I think Spencer's trying to get a little fancy with the stream. I'm just going to sit here and laugh while it doesn't work.
Wow.
You can see the damage that the failure is causing by him vanishing to the shadow.
Well, you know what? You know what is going to work though, Eli, and I tested this earlier.
Are you sure?
I did. So we have a little bit of a giveaway as well. Chad, do you think you could maybe manage to get that on screen of what we have to give away? I bet if you ask one of the pick ruts to switch to one of the side cams and display what we have.
I don't know what's happening. At this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
Cool stuff is happening.
Cool stuff is happening. Does that Highlander award apply if you summon a unit already on your list? I assume not. I believe it's just base list construction.
That's right.
Yeah.
According to the rules of the GT, it is basic list construction. So
Yeah. That way to not necessarily hinder gameplay like we were talking about before. This list construction did not necessarily cause players to really like restrict themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
All right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
all right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
all right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
all right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
all right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is an optional thing for the GT.
all right. So
Themselves competitively, as it is.
now, now you can hear me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and you're right, El Dorino. Yes, the mod will delete that comment just so nobody else can see it. It's nothing too crazy. Don't worry, it's perfectly fine. So, as we get switched over, we're going to.
Apparently, there's a repeat, Chad. I don't know what's going on.
I think they're just saying it's a repeat of when it started that they can't hear.
It says the audio is on acid.
Let's go. Can we just switch back to the main cam and use that? All right. So, can I just get a quick check in, mic check 1 2? How are we doing? Can you hear me? Are you out there, Radio Land?
They say I have a face for radio, but they don't know I have a voice for it too. Hey-o!
Hey, there we go. You are now listening to Smooth Khorne on KLT 109. Ping pong. Ping
Dun, dun,
pong.
dun.
Great. So, what I did want to comment on is that we're going to be having a giveaway. We have a few measuring widgets as well as a dry brush palette. So, if you've seen anything from Artist Opus where they have those really cool dry brush palettes, we've got our own with our own logo ready to be mailed to you anywhere in the contiguous United States of America.
No shit.
No shit. Well, no shit, but yes, it's real. How do we want to do that? While Chad is working on getting that shown for us, we can take a look here at kind of what Jeff is doing. So, like we mentioned, he can deploy on the line there, and over off to the left, he has this Claws of Karnak unit. We'll go through the list here in a little bit. I'm just trying to give you all something to look at. And let's see if we can get a text added to this scene that we're on, and add the giveaway code. And as this is scrolling, if you are curious about the lists after we run through them, just hit the command exclamation list, and it'll take you right to our paste bin. Additionally, if you want to see our socials, hit exclamation socials.
Or you can look at the screen while it's playing to see Joe and Jeff's social on the screen.
And that is absolutely right. The widgets were made using a Wargrog Prophet's laser eyes.
They are the strongest eyes in the mortal realm. Red
With
hot.
a, yeah, with a hashtag in front of it. And so what you're going to be entering in to get this giveaway is going to be hashtag Jeff Smiles. And that's going to be all one word. And that's the only thing that you can have in the entry. And that should drop you in there. It looks like we have 2 entries right now. if you want to get in on that, please do so now. We're going to be drawing at the end of the stream, and I will be able to reach out to whomever won and get you that, get you those products.
And again, the bot should delete the message as soon as you type it. So if you see that message deleted symbol in the chat, that means you entered, and you do not need to retype it.
Additionally, it will whisper you to let you know that you did enter in. So don't worry. If you take a look down here at the bottom right,
love
we
that
do
two-step
have
authentication here.
The widgets as well as that dry brush palette. So the dry brush palette's really cool because you're able to use that to get off most of the paint without losing too much moisture, which is something.
Gotta beat the devil out of it.
Hey, there you go, Bob Ross. So again, if you are ready to enter that, just go ahead and use that code #JeffSmiles. And thank you for fixing that. I was just going to recommend that. We've got 4 entries already. So let's head to chat. Do we have any questions? Anything that we can help answer while we're getting prepped and ready to go?
Or do we just need to go straight into list?
Let's go into list.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. We can keep an eye on chat. Should be a good time.
Who do we want to talk about first?
Let's find out. All right, we've got the Stormcast Eternals. So,
The one that you've been talking shit with this week.
hey,
supporting.
They're gonna be coming.
Yet I
out
was
on
told
top
you
here.
don't know that much.
They're gonna be coming out on top. It's fine. You don't need to know very much. They have gold armor. They're ready to go.
Well, that's what happens when you play an army that has like no allegiance abilities. Am I right?
Hey, it's okay. He has no allegiance at all. So let's talk about the Stormcast Eternals. He has taken the Scions of the Storm,
Classic.
which is going to allow him to place units up in Deep Strike in reserve.
Half his army.
Yep, and he can deploy them off to the side of the table. Then later, he can deploy them onto the table outside 9 inches from enemy models.
Yep.
So that's something to think about. So while Jeff is deploying his army on the board, Joe's putting some stuff off to the side.
Yep.
That's going to allow him to get out of trouble, so to speak, by not allowing Jeff to get into him turn 1.
Yep. You can keep his like special units that don't really need to be on the board to get their effectiveness until later, and set up some proper positioning from his like slow moving army. Stormcast is a bunch of armor lad dudes. It's a 5-inch move army.
Absolutely.
Unless you're running a dragon.
So let's go ahead and talk subfaction. Astral Templars is going to be a subfaction, and that will disallow Jeff from using monstrous actions.
A subfaction of subfactions.
Really, the main thing that he's going to be using it for is to stop roar. So Joe is going to be able to get all-out attack or all-out defense if he needs to.
Yep.
And
I hear guaranteed command abilities is pretty good.
hey, it's not too hard. We've got thank you for sticking through us with the technical difficulties. Thank you, Chad, for that nice comment. And we do have, what is the airspeed of a velocity of an unladen swallow? Is it African or European? Get back to me. So let's talk grand strategy. So in Age of Sigmar, addition to the scoring that you do on the board, at the end of the game you have the chance to get another 3 points. Joe has taken spellcasting savant. He is going to keep his general. That is an Andatorian locus.
Yep, meaning it's a 9 wound or less wizard.
That is also not unique. And it has to be not slain at the end of the game. So he has to keep his general alive.
Probably the grand strat we see play the most out of the GHB selection.
It is the one that I take most often just because it gives you the most maneuverability
Yes.
for the least amount of investment.
Yes.
Right.
It's also the easiest to keep track of, right? Is it on the
Absolutely.
board? Yes. Cool. Got 3 points.
All right. Let's talk triumphs. So if Joe comes in fewer points than Jeff, he's going to have access to the Indomitable Triumph, which is once per battle. If he fails a battle shock test, he can actually just say it's indomitable.
Yeah.
No models run. That's great.
Does that come up often in Stormcast?
I think it's going to come up more often than not, especially if Jeff has any way to turn off command abilities.
That's a fair point.
So something to think of. So let's go talk about the Holy Command. That is going to be a unique enhancement to the Stormcast Eternals.
Yep.
Where they have Thunderbolt Volley. So once per game, they can use this command ability in the hero phase. They're going to be able to shoot with a Justicar or Angelus unit.
Yep, that's not reinforced.
That's not reinforced, but that's fine. They're going to be able to shoot in the hero phase. So they're going to be getting 2 shots in a single turn, which, fishing for mortal wounds, that's a good opportunity.
Yep. Now the big thing to note is that it is a command ability, which means he has to make sure that he does not use it on a unit that he's already rallied. It's a command ability that you use in the hero phase, and you still gotta stick by the core rules. You can't use more than 1 command ability per phase.
That is a good comment. Thank you, Eli. So heading back to chat, we've got Azri just feeding us a little bit of information. Yeah,
That's going to be relevant in just a moment because we're about to talk about that general.
which is the Lord Arcanumon Griff Chargers, coming in with Shaman of the Chilled Lands, which is going to be the GHB specific command trait where he knows all of the spells on the Lore of Primal Frost, which is going to include Rupture, which is very important for this game where there are no Cron Spines. Additionally, he's going to know Hoarfrost to try to fish for Rind 3 on some of his hammers.
Or 1-ups to hit, so to make it very easy to, because there's a -1 to hit aura that exists in Khorne.
Well, hey,
Get around that.
Going into those Blood Crushers round 1.
Skull Crushers.
Skull
excuse
Crushers. They're crushing skulls and blood.
You're
in my
not
will to
wrong.
live. So it's going to allow him to get around their 2-up save that they're going to have with the extra rend.
Rend helps.
Additionally, he will have access to Merciless Blizzard, which normally is going to be a very, very damaging spell. With this GHB, you're able to cast on higher values with additional dice. Getting that 12 up to cast for Merciless Blizzard, then doing 4d6 mortal wounds, and that is 4 dice with 6 sides, mortal wounds.
Yes.
So up to 24 mortal wounds in
But
a single shot.
Careful. For every one that you roll, you take D3 mortal wounds that you cannot ward, which is fine. You don't have wards anyway.
It's perfectly fine. And with 9 wounds, should be okay casting that once.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and hit the mount trait. So Scintillating Trail. Subtract 1 from Unbinding rolls for enemy wizards. Won't come into play here, but I want to comment that this is going to be very helpful with this primal dice season that we are currently in.
Yeah, casting debuffs very solid. It means also that there's a wizard that Joe can kind of throw forward to kind of hurt the spell casting. This GHB does very much promote bringing at least a wizard. Doesn't necessarily have to be an Andorian Locust, though. Typically, you don't get the spell lore unless you get a Locust. But -1 to spells makes it harder to cast things. Force opponents to use those primal dice on things that they don't want to use it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing to comment here, additional to the Lore of the Primal Frost, took Chain Lightning, which is going to allow him to hit an enemy unit with some mortal wounds and then bounce that out to surrounding units. So in a castle situation where you have multiple units grouped together, this is going to be pretty detrimental. Again, probably will not come into play super hard here, as we'll get into some of the Khorne special rules in a little bit.
I imagine it's not a spell he wants to cast on the Khorne.
Absolutely.
And before we move on, I wanted to point out, like you said, Asri was in the chat, pointed out something really, really big about that general. He has an ability on his War Scroll that lets him teleport, especially teleporting out of combat. Makes that grand strat that we were talking about a little bit safer because his general is an Andorian Locust, and he can kind of make sure he escapes out of harm's way when he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the Knight Incantor. Took a spell, Lightning Blast, going to be more mortal wounds, as well as, and it's the closest enemy unit.
Yep.
Now, that is great. A board-wide, just, hey, take D3 mortals is wonderful. Boom. It's a little laser gun.
Yep.
He is in the Andatorian Acolytes Battalion.
Yep.
Which, as we get into the battalion rules, we'll cover there. Let's go ahead and hit the next page for the lists. All right, so additional to the Incantor, which does have a special rule, which will not come into play here, but once per game, automatic unbind.
Yep.
Oh, you rolled an 18 on your Merciless Blizzard against my my Vanguard Raptors?
Sucks to suck. My god gave me a scroll that says no.
Absolutely. Additionally, he took a Lord Imperatant with the Arcane Tome. Hey, you know what?
You know what's good? Making your non-wizards into wizards.
Yep, and filling out that Acolytes Battalion, which is going to be really nice. So, for Battle Line, he's got 5 Vanquishers, and then 2x5 Vanguard Hunters.
Yep.
The Vanguard Hunters are going to be pretty mobile, running around, shooting a lot.
Teleporting across the board.
That they will.
Setting up some battle tactics.
He's also got a unit of Aether Wings.
Yep.
Which will just block out some areas.
Let his long strikes that we'll see later in the list be able to get +1 to hit.
There you go.
Something really far away.
He's got 2x3 Annihilators with Meteoric Grand Hammers.
Those are the damagey ones.
These are damagey ones. These are going to be coming in with high rend, high damage. They're going to drop outside 9. They're going to make their charge. And they're going to do mortal wounds to you on the drop. So, a nice little explosion. Just drop in there, take some mortal wounds, and then they're going to charge in and hit you.
Yep.
He has, additionally, the Quester Soulsworn.
I love this unit.
Which is one of the specialist units that GW produces. I think they're gorgeous.
They're wonderful sculpts.
Yeah. There's going to be 6 models on a 3-up save with 3 wounds apiece, 18 wounds. on a 3-up for 230. In Stormcast, not too bad. They're
You also get a once per game teleport.
yeah, you know what's real good in this game?
Teleporting.
Free moving. And something to note here, teleporting in Age of Sigmar is pretty limited, I would say, across
For the most part,
board.
yes.
Order has access to teleport out of combat, which no other Grand Allegiance has. So they're going to be able to get in, get stuck in, and then bamf right out.
Maybe you should just worship Order, nerd.
Yeah. So going to the Vanguard Raptors long strike crossbows. So this is what is going to be the target of the Thunderbolt volley.
Yes. Got 2 units.
2 units of 3. They're going to be getting 6 shots. They're going to be hitting, and they're going to be doing mortal wounds on the hit.
Yep.
Which is really nice, and just fishing for mortal wounds, trying to pop little heroes, trying to pop a little bit of, one of those blood skull crushers.
Yep.
That Jeff has. You know what 2-up save doesn't work against?
Mortal wounds.
There you go. And
if you don't get the mortal wounds, it's still 2 damage shots.
yeah. So dropping even one of those blood crushers with one of the volleys is going to be really, really important here.
Yep.
Rounding out his list, he has an Everblaze Comet, which is going to just do pulses of mortal wounds. He is then going to use his own wizards to unbind it and then recast it. And so it's going to be just a nice little source of mortal wounds for the Stormcast player.
On top of the -1 to cast bubble that emanates from the comet. It's a little bit of the more anti-wizard tech that Joe's got in his list.
Yeah, it's going to be real nice. So let's talk about battalions here. The Acolyte Battalion is going to give Joe an extra primal die on a 3-up.
On both turns.
On both turns. Nice to have. And it's going to allow him to bank extra primal dice because Jeff doesn't have any casters. Mm-hmm. So when he gets to that Merciless Blizzard time, he's going to have fun.
You know what that doesn't stop, though?
What does that not
2
stop?
Blood Tithe.
What is this Blood Tithe?
We'll talk more about that when we get to the Khorne list, but 2 Blood Tithe doesn't matter. It doesn't care what you rolled.
Yeah. And so, Eli, you did mention that you wanted to know about the Highlander here. So he's got 2 units of Vanguard Hunters, 2 units of Annihilators, and 2 units of Long Strikes. Disqualified for
Disqualified.
All right.
Too many copycats here.
All right. Well, hey, let's get into the Blood Gods side of things. Let's check out some Khorne.
Blades of Khorne. Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne. Murder everybody in your way, and you will end up a lot happier. For those of you that know how Blades of Khorne works, for every unit that dies on the board, he does not matter. He does not care who dies because he does not care where the blood flows from. He just cares that the blood is flowing. You get a Blood Tithe point, and you can use those abilities. You can use your collected Blood Tithe to do various things in the hero phase or to summon units in your own turn. In addition, you ignore spells. Hey, guess what?
What?
Joe has damaging spells.
Yeah. I think that's really going to be the issue that Joe runs into here. Some armies have buff spells, which is what my Slamba army has, which doesn't really care about Khorne.
Buff spells good to cast into Khorne.
Bad spells?
Damage spells.
There you go.
Every time a unit in Khorne gets targeted on a 5-up, they ignore the effects of the spell, and they gain a Blood Tithe point. And like I just said, you can use those in the hero phase for various things, such as spend 2 Blood Tithe to ignore unbind a spell automatically. Spell doesn't go off. Before going further into the list, let's talk about that subfaction. It is the Flayed, which is a mortal-focused subfaction that lets units in combat, if they've already fought, have a 5-up ward, which is great because the mortals don't have a ward to begin with. It's the demons that do. Which I don't remember if Jeff has any list. We'll find out, actually. I say that as soon as I look at the first unit on the list, Scarbrand, right there. We'll talk about that in a second. The grand strategy is the slaughter of sorcerers. So remember how Joe wants to keep his wizards alive. Joe wants all of his wizards to be dead. If Joe can kill all the wizards, he gets 3 VP and Joe gets none. If Joe manages to keep his general alive, Joe gets 3 P. Jeff does not.
Jeff wants to kill the wizards. Joe does not want to kill the wizards.
Well, that's why he's playing Khorne.
Well, yeah, but you misspoke.
Did I misspoke?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. There's too many J's around here. And then Jeff, which we'll find out if he gets the triumph momentarily as soon as I see that point total, Joe's inspired. He wants once per game to be able to choose to buff up the wound characteristic by 1 for a unit in a phase. +1 to wound rolls is pretty good. Not a lot of buffs like that in the game. Not a lot of debuffs for that in the game either.
So, Joe's general.
Mm-hmm.
Little guy. Weird little
guy on bird dude.
Griff horse. What is Jeff's general?
A big, mean, old bloodthirster. The bloodthirster of unfettered fury.
I do want to call this out. Jeff, you have a slight typo in the name of this.
You forgot the space.
Ovenfrittered.
Ovenfrittered. The Bloodthirster Ovenfrittered. Ovenfrittered.
Yeah,
Sure.
Ovenfritter.
The command trait's really cool. So Khorne does not have wizards, but you know what it does have?
What?
Priests. You know what's the best thing to do in the game?
Priest?
Roll prayers that you can't interact with. I'm not salty as a lizard who lost his priest at all. No, it's very, very cool. Khorne is a god you share your devotion to. He does not give you magic, but he will reward you if you follow him closely enough. The Bloodthirster, not natively a priest, but the command trait turns him into a priest. Therefore, he knows a prayer from the Lord. If that command trait was on a regular priest that does know a prayer, he would get a second one. The artifact, typically what we see on this Bloodthirster, Argath, the King of Blades, which says that anything he's engaged with cannot make ward rolls. Really good for making sure those like support heroes, those combat support heroes, like a Celestin Prime. Well, I say combat support heroes. He doesn't do much support. He just goes in and kills shit. But you can say, hey, no forward ward for you.
Hey, I mean that's pretty juicy.
This is pretty
especially
juicy.
going into all of the ward saves that have been coming out recently.
Oh yeah, and the prayer that he took is the heal prayer, standard core rule, general enhancement on a 3-up. You heal D3 wounds on something within 12 inches.
Hey,
Very nice.
Easy.
But he also took a prayer, which we'll get to the battalions. Or I was like, let's review this battalion really quickly because it's relevant right now.
Let's hit it.
One of the battalions that Jeff took, I believe he took a Warlord battalion. Yes, he did. I see it on the screen. That Warlord battalion gives you an extra enhancement of some sort. He decided to choose an extra prayer enhancement, which lets all of his priests know 2 prayers. He can still only chant 1 per hero, but he at least knows 2. Gives him a lot of flexibility. The second prayer that the Bloodthirster took, Killer Instinct. Range of 3, roll a 3 on 1d6, range of 18. Pick a Khorne unit to move, as long as it's not engaged.
Seems pretty good.
It makes a normal move too.
Seems pretty good.
You want to see those Skull Crushers really get engaged?
As an Iron Jaws player, I love me some free movement.
Oh, free movement is very good. Very good. I just wish I could roll a die instead of spending command point.
You know what? I'd take either.
Yeah, that's
Give me
pretty good.
both.
That's
Let's
true.
call
Why don't we
it
just
what
do
it
it?
is.
Yeah, why don't we just spend a command point, move, roll a die, and move again?
Yeah. Well, hey, what's that guy underneath the Bloodthirster of Unfritter?
Oh, Rage Daddy himself? Scarbrand.
Scarbrand.
Know him, fear him, kill him before he kills you. We want you to worship Khorne.
He has a really cool rage mechanic where if he has not fought in one of the previous combat phases of the previous round, he gets ultra buffed. He is fighting in his best bracket,
which is his last bracket.
The more damage he takes, the angrier he gets.
Yes.
And he's going to be doing some mortal wounds, which is going to be really nice to see.
For those of you that have not had the pleasure of facing against Scarbrand, he has a die roll. He has an ability called Total Carnage. There's a number on his damage table. You just roll a die. If you hit it, you do 8 mortal wounds. If you hit a 6, you do 16. Best bracket ever says that roll is a 1. So congratulations. Whatever he's getting into, he's taking a flat 8 mortal wounds. Just hope he doesn't roll a 6.
Hey, that sounds pretty mean.
Yeah.
What about this Slaughter Priest?
Slaughter Priest, just a dude with an axe.
Dude with an axe.
Yeah, he's a dude with an axe. He's got a prayer. He's got 2 prayers, in fact. You can only chant 1, but he knows Bronze Flesh, which is basically Mystic Shield, but better because it's a prayer. And he knows Bloodbind, which basically just points at a unit and says, "You come to me."
Get over here.
They move 8 inches closer as close as possible to the chanter.
Yeah, really similar to the Beast of Chaos special ability that they get in their hero phase, where they can just start pulling units away. So I think it's going to be really movement focused. Khorne is very tricksy.
Yes. You would think that an army named Blades of Khorne that worships the blood god, the god of murder and fighting, would want to go up and smash your face and just kill you, right? But no, it plays a lot of tech, it plays a lot of denial, it wants to shut you down entirely on what your game plan is, and then fuck you up in the process.
Hold on.
What?
Oh, we have a nice little comment from Sikath. Yes, it is illegal for this much sexy to be allowed on one screen.
Illegal, but we are criminals, so we're going to keep going with it.
Ooh, and it looks like he is muted in there as far as that comment goes. You got to keep it PG. Let's go ahead. Let's hop to the next page there.
All right, so round out the rest of this list, we've got a Realm Gore Ritualist, which is another little priest for cheap in Khorne, another mortal priest. Knows Bronze Flesh, Same thing as what we saw before. Getting extra bronze flesh is pretty good. You cannot chant it more than once, just like spells. You can't chant the same prayer multiple times, but flexibility on targets is pretty good. Also knows the prayer Blood Sacrifice. Probably one of like the best prayers in the whole thing. It's not flashy. It's not I get to move, I get to make you move. But it is an extra blood tithe for D3. How much does Murder Lust cost?
It's one.
One blood tithe to make your move, make a unit of yours move in the hero phase. Pretty good. And the Realm Gore Ritualist has our special enhancement. This GHB, if you don't have any wizards, there's a table of basically, hey, you didn't take magic. You get to take this extra thing on a unit. Basically acts as an artifact, but does not take your artifact slot. The Realm Gore Ritualist has the Pouch of Noldus. Basically, once battle at the start of the hero phase, in your opponent's turn, so you get to make it after they make all their start of hero phase choices, you can say that, hey, when you casting, your every double 1 is a miscast, every double 2 is a miscast, and every double 3 is a miscast. And if that includes any primal dice, it's primal miscast.
So I think something to keep in mind here is, while Joe doesn't necessarily need to cast his spells to do extra damage, it's helpful. And Jeff's 5-up spell ignore that he has army wide is going to be very annoying. It's going to be even more annoying when Jeff says, hey, those spells that you want to cast to try to chip damage off my blood crushers, not going to happen.
Nope.
Additionally, you're going to take a bunch of mortal wounds. Have fun.
Yep. Also, I'm going to dispel your comment if it's on the board there on a 5-up.
Hey,
only 1 die.
33% chance to do that? Not too bad.
Pretty good. Battle line, 5 Fleshhounds, standard demon dogs. Got a ward as long as they're got a ward of 6 up as long as they're 5 up as long as they're 8 inches away.
Yep. So basically outside combat. So against any shooting that Joe has, nice little 5-up ward.
Yep. Also got the Claws of Karanak, which is the Warcry warband. Basically another Fleshhounds, just by a different name. A little more bodies. Essentially the same wound total, I think, right? 5 models of 2 wounds versus 8 wounds of 1 plus a little extra because it's a Warcry warband. Some of those models
What's
are
their
not
special
wanted.
ability?
They get a pregame movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can be able to kind of move around the board. So additional to that the bloodlust to pull you closer, the murderlust to move me closer, and the claws of Karanak to move around.
Yeah.
A lot of movement.
A lot of early movement before whoever takes the first turn gets their first movement phase.
Yeah.
Then we got 10 Blood Reavers, which is just meat. Basically free blood tithe, as Jeff likes to call it. It's a 80-point blood tithe unit. It's just 10 models. It's a mortal unit, so if they get into combat and they fight first, they get a 5 award for that combat. Very nice. Then we've got some coalition units. Taking in a unit from Slaves to Darkness, so these will not benefit from the Khorne allegiance abilities. They're there to just fuck you up. They're Vanguard with 2 Fell Spears and a unit of ensorcelled weapons. So they're going to charge in, get a bunch of rend, and do a bunch of damage. Then the ensorcelled weapons are just going to come and do stuff. Oh, and on their war scroll, that says when once per game, they can get a second activation in combat.
Yeah, and what's really nice about that second activation...
That's my one.
That's the real nice thing about that second activation is it's not restricted to strike last. So one of the other abilities that some armies get access to is they're going to strike twice, but their second strike has to be at strike last.
No.
The way Vanguard work is in place of
I see what you're talking
another
about.
unit, they get to activate.
Yes.
So you get to play this fun little game of, ooh, will they, won't they attack again? Because he doesn't have to declare it until he's ready to hit.
Yep. It's just once per game. You can choose them to activate a second time.
Yep.
There's a lot of mind games that you can play with your opponent when they're worried about when that Vanguard unit's going to attack a second time.
Honestly, I think Vanguard need more of a points drop.
I mean, at 280, you can fit 4 units with Archeon, and if that's not thematic, I don't know what is.
Additionally, you can take 21 Vanguard and a Knights of the Empty Throne list. Just curious, something to think about. What do we have below that, though?
And last but not least, the Skull Crushers that we keep mentioning. 6 models on a 2-up save with 5 wounds apiece. That is an anvil if I ever saw one.
How many points are those?
Mobile. 210 per 3.
So
nice, quick 420.
blaze it.
Love it. But it is a 420 point unit of meat that most armies have a hard time dealing with.
Yeah, 2-up save, moving across the board into your face turn 1. Not fun.
Yep.
As I can attest.
Oh yeah.
Lastly, it looks like we've got some Hex Scourger Skulls.
Yep. Basically, every wizard player's the bane of every wizard player's existence. They go out, they move, and every wizard within 12 inches is -2 to cast. And if you roll a natural 8 on your dice, you lose that spell, and you do damage to yourself, and the skulls go away. It is just a mean prayer. It's an endless prayer, so you can't also dispel it as if with wizards you have to take priests, which is why I'm considering taking a priest when that new cities box drops, when that new cities armies drop into my Seraphon list, because I want to deal with those.
I've got thoughts.
I do not want those in my face.
But I do. Hold on. Looks like we are getting information. I think they're ready to start. It looks like we have deployment ready to go. Could we switch over to the overhead cam?
Oh, as we're doing that, I would also like to mention that the Skull Altar terrain for Jeff allows him to reroll prayers while he's within 8 inches of it, and if he's got a priest in there, which looks like he does, a invocation chanted through that priest has double the range for setup. Those skulls go zoom,
flying across the board. So let's take a look here. So we've got Fleshhounds in the middle in combat with those Aether Wings.
Yep.
We've got the Quester Soul Sworn behind, ready to go take some objectives. They count as 3 models on objectives that are wholly outside their territory.
Yep.
So
which means that Joe has the middle objective because he's got those 2 Soul Sworn on that middle objective there to go with those 3 Aether Wings.
I believe he doesn't, because he wouldn't have the extra bodies, because that is technically part of his deployment zone. In the same way that in one of the old battle plans, the edge deployment or the edge objective, if it's outside.
That's a fair point.
So just something to keep in mind there. So Joe has a bunch of hand motions going on, showing us where the long strikes are, as well as some heroes. And it looks like he has some stuff off the board. I don't see any Annihilators.
No, the Annihilators are all in the sky right now.
Yeah. All right, we've got a handshake, and we've got the Claws of Karanak have moved up over off the left side.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you look on the left side, you'll see one unit that's definitely not in the terrain. That's the Claws that have go ahead and just kind of moved over a little bit on the left.
Oh, I have a question here in chat. Spencer, what are you drinking from Dutch Bros? This is the Dutch Bros no sugar added pumpkin pie latte.
Sounds pretty tasty.
It's delicious, wherever it may be. Here we go. Go ahead and have a little swig, Eli.
I would love to.
So it looks like...
Oh, that's delightful.
There we go.
That is delicious.
So Joe had choice of turn, and he's taking the top of 1.
Yep.
I think that's probably the right choice here. If you give Khorne access to move around and get out of their deployment zone, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Look, Khorne's going to be able to move at the end of your hero phase anyway. If they use the Blood Tithe table for Murderlust, which they likely will, at the end of the hero phase, they can spend their Blood Tithe on abilities. The main one that, if you haven't played Khorne, we'll see if you do play Khorne, is Murderlust. They can use it up to 3 times. It costs 1 Blood Tithe each time. They pick a unit. They move D6 movement, D6 inches.
Yeah.
And they can end that move in combat, which is the biggest thing. Like I said before, Khorne is a tactic denial army. What do people often do? Move, kill, charge. What does Murderlust stop? Moving, killing, charging.
Maybe 2 of the 3. But something to think about here, Eli, is Joe taking the first turn means Jeff has 0 Blood Tithe.
Yep.
Which kind of turns off that ability for him to move block. I think that's going to be really important here. And just kind of looking at the board, if I'm Joe, really the things that I want to stop are, I want to stop those skull crushers from getting out of deployment.
Yep.
and clogging things up, and I want to bait the Varangard and Scarbrand off to that bottom right corner.
Yeah.
Now, if you just plop down 3 Annihilators over there, something has to go deal with them.
Yes.
They're slow moving, but they will get where they need to go with a run.
But let's talk about it. Joe had a Lord Imperator, right?
Yes.
Yes. That is likely up in the sky with the Annihilators. In fact, I will check the receipts to see. Yep, 2 units of Grand Hammer in the sky. Oh no, the Imperator is on the table, but once per turn, the Imperator can bring down the Annihilator 7 inches away instead of 9 inches away, and Annihilators get a reroll on the charge if it's the turn they came into play.
Yeah, and the mortal wounds they're doing is off 12 inches, so that extra 2 inches that they're going to be getting from that drop reduction allows them to hit
10
more
inches,
things.
not 12.
It's going to allow them to hit more things.
Because normally they drop outside 9 inches, and it lets them just hit the stuff that they're dropping right away from. It doesn't let them hit so far, but it is every unit within 10 inches.
Hey, that's nice to see.
It's still good. If I'm wrong, Spencer will correct me because he's going to look up that war scroll right now. But I'm pretty sure it's 10 inches, unless my Stormcast opponents have been shorting themselves. In which case, I'm sorry, because your army already has low rules.
It is within 10 inches.
Okay,
but
cool.
Hey, you know what? It's not too bad. And yeah, so just a quick little shout out for GW. One of the nice things that we have access to in Age of Sigmar is all of the war scrolls for free through the app. So
Love it.
Us being able to just kind of dish out, hey, here's information that we wouldn't normally have access to. It's just really, really nice.
Yep. Looks like Joe is going with Intimidate the Invaders as his battle tactic.
Okay.
So he wants to get more units outside of his territory, which is just that corner deployment, the top right corner on your screen. He just wants to be outside, have half his units outside that deployment, at least half, I should say.
Yeah. So
Easy win 2 units.
Pretty easy. He's got.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's changed. It is surround and destroyed. So he's got to pick 3 units that are on the board, and at the end of the turn, each of those units are wholly within 6 inches of a board edge, and 2 of those units are outside the territory. Pretty easy to do that with this map specifically, especially when you have units in the sky that you can teleport down, because very easy to get top and right on your screen, because he can just shift over in the movement phase, even if he needs to run. He's got the Vanguard Hunters that can teleport and do that, so they'll be able to teleport in the movement phase. I imagine that Joe probably picked both of those units, and then one of those long strike units is down the board.
Yeah. So one of the things to think about here, Eli, is well, he can bring down Annihilators. Not going to help him for Surround and Destroy.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I do think that he's going to end up teleporting some stuff around, and I didn't see Translocate in his list.
No, because he does not have a native priest. They're all wizards or dude that got a book to become a wizard.
Yeah. So I think
the only teleport is just on the Soul Sworn on their natural once per game.
Yeah.
So Vanguard Hunters ×2 and the Knight Incantor chosen for the battle tactic.
Okay, so I'm being informed that it is just like my guess. 2 of the Vanguard Hunters, but instead of the long strike, it's the Knight Incantor. That's going to be the battle tactic.
And Mystic Shield was cast on a 7. It looks like Jeff decided not to unbind it.
Yeah. And with that, the Vanguard Hunters teleporting around, just doing a little bit of shenanigans is really nice.
Yeah.
I see a really open corner for some of those Vanguard to go into.
Yep.
Deploying into that back line and just popping off some wounds from whatever is there is going to be really important for Joe. He's going to give Jeff distraction pieces to have to go after. Sure, they're not going to be doing a ton of damage, but if he moves away from that corner, they're going to have a clear line of sight to that altar. They're going to pop whatever's in there.
I don't. Luckily, you can see the way that Jeff has kind of strung out those Skull Crushers. He's got that altar pretty protected. I am more worried right now that he might leave a hole for that for his Bloodthirster to kind of get hit, which makes sense why he Finest Hour this turn. He's saying, Joe, hey, you want to come at me with those Annihilators? Your best target's going to be this guy. You're going to be -1 to hit. I'm going to be +1 to save.
All right. It looks like we've got the Meteor cast. Jeff missed the Unbind, and it drops right in front of that altar. That's going to be hitting quite a few units around there.
Yep.
Now, one thing that Joe has to worry about is if he gets that 5-up Spell Ignore, he gets Blood Tithe.
He does get Blood Tithe. But if he doesn't get it, he's taking, I think, D6 mortal wounds this time around?
There you go.
Comet hurts when it comes in.
6 mortal wounds on dogs.
6 mortal wounds on the dogs.
Does Jeff get his ward save?
Jeff should get a ward save. That it is outside 8 inches of any enemy unit.
I don't have access to the book information because it's all locked.
That is the new Locus of Fury, is that Khorne demon units get a ward out as long as they're more than 8 inches away.
All right, it looks like we have 1 mortal wound on the Reavers, and the Crushers ignore. Big
Love it.
boost.
Big for the Crushers. Although I guess not that much, because the Skull Crushers do have a ward against spell damage in particular, so they would have been okay.
It's more the Blood Tithe for me.
Oh yeah.
If you give, a free Murder Lust is a free Murder Lust, and getting those claws out just even further to deny Deep Strike.
pointed out in the chat, the ether wings are stopping the ward for the dogs.
There we go.
There it is. Thank you.
That's big brain play.
Yeah.
Big brain play. Unfettered Fury takes 3 mortal wounds. Finest Hour does nothing against those.
No. Turns out, save characteristic does not matter against mortal wounds.
Curious if Jeff was able to make any of those ward saves on his Unfettered Fury. Ooh, Hero Behind takes 4 mortal wounds. It looks like that is going to be the Slaughter Priest. That's down there. 4 mortal wounds.
Hey, look, someone called us the 2 coolest cats. My sunglasses.
Oh, I know that name. That's one of our local players.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I can't read.
It is. It's J.R. Dahlgren. Plays.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, plays Soulblight Gravelords.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love him.
awesome.
I haven't had the pleasure of playing against him yet. We've been dodging each other at tournaments.
Units are beautiful. I
Yes.
told him.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
He keeps telling. He told me the other day, I wish I could play you, and I was like, grudge me.
I mean, yeah, come on.
Grudge me. Come
First
on.
round grudge, guys.
Come on, easy.
Yeah.
Guaranteed 1 great opponent.
You know what's the problem? You can't do that with me. Because I'm running it.
All right, Eli, you need to stop.
If you are in Austin, please come sign up for the Wonkos tournament when I put out that BCP in a couple weeks.
It sounds like, John, Eli's dodging you. Eli is intentionally not wanting to play you. I will, you know what? I will take one for the team.
No, he can grudge me at Dragon's Lair.
I will run the next event. I got you.
We'll see.
Yeah, you're right, Azri. He does keep pulling you at tournaments, which, like I said, if he grudged us, he'd at least have 1 great opponent. But since he gets you every tournament, it's okay. Gets a great opponent anyway. So I mean, 90 points for this Everblaze comment.
Yeah.
Dropping down.
Oh, yeah.
8 mortal wounds, 14 mortal wounds.
I think total?
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 mortal wounds after the spell ignore.
It was what, six to the dogs, three to the bloodthirster, 4 to the blood crushers,
Yeah, it looks
a
like
couple to Scarbrand.
Yeah, 2 to Scarbrand. He warded 1, so he is remembering that ward.
Good.
That's, you know what?
Another thing to mention about the Vanguard, they have a 4-up mortal wound ward.
Yeah.
That War Scroll does it all.
Yep. Which is going to be really nice if Joe decides to drop those Annihilators in that bottom right. Try to dish out a couple more mortal wounds.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Joe drops both of them. I think we'll see him in both of those cracks in the bottom left.
Yeah.
One in between the Bloodthirster and the Skull Crushers. One with the claws of Karanak. That hole with the claws of Karanak and the Skull Crushers there. But I don't know if that's the right call.
So with no wounds on the Skull Crushers, I don't think so.
No.
Joe is going to need them for the extra Randolph Hoarfrost to crack through that 2-up save.
And so, I don't know, and that's if he decides to go for them at all, right?
Right. But that's the only thing that could theoretically start getting through into those Skull Crushers.
Oh, yeah. Not going to be much else. Other than that, what you're hoping that he fails the 5-up against the against the Blizzard?
So it looks like Joe can't get line of sight on anything for Thunderbolt Volley, so he's going to be having that in his back pocket. That obscuring terrain coming really in clutch. Can we zoom in there on the top left of that quadrant where Joe is moving and teleporting?
See, those are the Vanguard Hunters that we were talking about earlier. They're going to be able to be wholly within 6 inches of the board edge and be able to shoot those claws at Karanak, because I believe they have, 18-inch?
Yep.
Crossbow? Yeah.
Yep. And they're going to be, a few shots apiece. Going to
I want to say it's like 2 attacks each.
Yeah.
Like 3s and 3s, something like that. It's pretty good.
So if we look here, there's the spine that's down there with obscuring marked on it. Jeff has placed stuff very nicely behind that to kind of block out that Thunderbolt Volley.
Yeah.
We're into the movement phase.
Perks of having a higher deployment count, being able to counter deploy where Joe put his stuff.
Yeah, and I think really for Jeff that works out in his favor. For most matchups, he doesn't care if he goes first or not.
Not at all.
So you really lean on the ability to take extra enhancements, like he did for the extra prayers. So
Yep.
I think great option for him.
He's pretty much got a good game plan either way, and I think his worst maps tend to be the ones where territory's half the board because he doesn't have Intimidate on the board turn 1. But I think the Claws of Karanak actually help him out in that case because he gets the pregame move to get a unit closer to the edge of the territory and be able to get them out, because the biggest struggle is you can usually get 2, but getting all 3 out is hard. Karanak over a unit of Fleshhounds kind of helps solve that problem.
Too true. We do have some commentary from Dirty Gabo in chat. Have we discussed
the dirtiest Gabo?
The dirtiest gob, well, especially with this comment. Have we discussed Joe's big disadvantage yet? How is he supposed to win without a waifu in the army?
Doesn't have a waifu in the army, even though he may have modeled one into it. Wouldn't be surprised if that Lord Arcanum on Gryph-hound is his waifu here.
Hey, you know what? If Joe's known for one thing and one thing only, it's his luscious locks, which he also cut. So he really is at 2 disadvantages, but that doesn't stop me
It's
from being
growing
on
back
Team
though.
Joe.
He's growing back. He's gaining the magic back. Although I guess his waifu, his always eternal waifu, he is using the Daughters of Cain dice. He is always devoted to Marathi.
Hey, I mean, they are part of Order, and they are the Order...
Loosely, allegedly.
Allegedly. Could I get some shout-outs for Joe in chat for playing the Underdog Army here with Stormcast?
Underdog army. I thought that
Underdog
was
army.
Ossiarch Bone Reapers.
All right.
I was told they were an underdog.
With a 5-inch reach.
All right.
To
And
my 0% win rate against that army.
so Joe went ahead and retreated those Aether Wings out just to allow some charges into those Flesh Hounds. Claws of Karanak redeploy off of that 5 inches, pulls them out of a lot of range for those Vanguard Hunters. I think
love it.
that's a little bit of a misstep from Joe. I would have liked to have seen them come over to the right flank and just start blocking off that hole that he's got right there next to his Gryph Charger. Allowing those claws to redeploy is going to hurt.
Yes and no. I don't think so as much because I don't think Joe cares that much because he wasn't really going to see them anyway. I don't think Joe cares that much about shooting the Claws of Karanak. I think that was just going to be a bonus, and he prevents a bigger target for elsewhere. I'm almost thinking that was a bait redeploy play.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. I see that there's a comment in the chat that I can barely read that says the waifu is part of the quest for Soulshorn.
That's fair.
Yeah. Probably. Very likely there's a woman in that unit.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing here, the long strikes, I see 5 models with big bows and then 1 on the smaller base.
Yep.
Are we missing?
No. That is how that unit is. For those of you that don't know, Stormcasts are weird. There are many units where in 2nd edition, GW just decided consistency was for suckers and wanted to make one model on a weird base. So that is the champion of the unit. It's on a little circle base, whereas everyone else is on an oval base. They all have the same weapon.
Well, so the reason I ask is there's 5 long bows and 1 small one. So that looks like it's a reinforced unit of long strikes. I'm just getting clarification right now.
It does. It is supposed to be 2 units of 3.
Okay.
It means that either 1, Joe does not have a circle, or 2, one of those units does not have a champion in it. Because the champion is optional, if I remember correctly, for long strikes.
Okay. Yep. And I think that probably makes sense. Allows him to get an extra couple shots. Nice to see.
Not have a second sergeant.
Yep.
He does not have a second sergeant. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is going sergeantless for one rebel unit of long
Hey, there we go. Could we get a little bit of a reminder for what they need to type in for that giveaway that we have, Chad? So don't forget,
yeah,
we have a
that's
giveaway
right.
going on for a couple of measurement widgets as well as a dry brush palette with our logos on it. It's really cool stuff that I am very happy to see. Lexi's been working really hard on. So go ahead and just hit hashtag Jeff Smiles in chat to get entered into that.
Those widgets are hand painted by Joe himself.
Ooh.
I watched him use the airbrush earlier today to get that special touch on them.
All right. It looks like he will probably fix that sergeant issue by the end of the...
I assume so. He's almost done being completely painted with this army. He and Jeff have really been putting the grind to make sure that their armies were painted for the tournament.
All right. Could we get a zoom in on that bottom left quadrant, Chad?
There's a lot going on here. I see some mint green in that bottom left corner here, which can only mean one thing. We have some annihilators dropping.
That is right. So we got Annihilators dropping. They did 2 mortal wounds on the Vanguard. They warded 1. Missed on Skull Crushers and Scarbrand. 3 mortals on the Unfettered Fury, but saves 2.
Saves 2.
That's going to be rough.
The problem of having to deploy 9 inches away and not 7 inches away. Could have deployed, if he was able to deploy 7 inches away, could have stopped that ward for those mortals. Seems like good tech for Jeff for Joe to use.
Yeah. So I really think that coming in right there close enough to get that 7-inch charge on those Skull Crushers going to look really nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Big thing is I don't think we see a second unit of Annihilators dropping, which is I think the right move. save one of those. See if you can crack open a hole and then move from there.
Yeah. The Skullcrusher screened him out of getting within 8 on a bunch of targets. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also that.
So I think that's probably the right play for Jeff. He gets to really dictate where the mortal wounds get placed on that unit.
New coherent, the edit to the coherency rules a few months back made that unit just very nice. 6-man units being able to deploy within 1 inch of one model. Now, Siren Zulu. I probably butchered that, but I apologize. Thank you for following.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for the follow. And I did see that you entered in on the giveaway. So
Heck
good
yeah.
luck. Hopefully you win.
We love that. But yeah, like I was saying, 6 model units reinforced to 3-man units. Getting a real boost from that coherency change. Being able to string out your big beefy unit like this that can kind of help take a beating and protect your other stuff.
Ooh.
Great.
So I just got a message here. Long
Oh, no.
strikes, both firing at the Unfettered Fury.
Oh no.
10 mortal wounds.
Ooh.
10 mortal wounds. Let's see how many 6s Jeff can roll. And hey, while they're rolling through that, let's take a quick peek at these measurement widgets and palette. Awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on my palette and get to dry brushing. It's been one of the nicest additions that I've made to my painting routine. Really nice to have.
I do see a fair amount of 6s.
I
see 4
3
6s
or 4.
just on the left side of the screen there.
Ooh.
4 6s. 5. There's a good amount of wards made by Jeff.
14 damage before wards.
14 damage before wards. That is huge. The question is, how many wards can he make? There are 16 wounds on that model. 12. Oh, 8 out of 14 wards 6 of them. That's
Wow.
awesome.
I mean, and honestly, being there on 12 wounds, if Joe gets this charge in, ignoring the roar,
Yeah. The problem is that if Joe makes that charge, that Bloodthirster's taking some more wounds on the charge.
yeah, that general's
That's not going to do it, though.
Not going to be long for this world. We did have a comment here about show us how to use it. I'm going to assume that is related to the dry brush palette, and if you pay me a few dollars, I definitely will. If you pay me a few more dollars, I'll show you how to use other things, like an airbrush.
Yes, Dirty Gabo, the giveaway hashtag is being auto-moderated. It should be automatically deleting your message while you enter the giveaway. You have been entered. We appreciate you entering.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll turn that off, just because that seems to be causing a little bit of confusion.
If you could replace it with a thank you for entering, that wouldn't be that bad either.
Right. Annihilators roll a 4-inch charge, get a free re-roll when they arrive.
They do. Yep. No need to spend it.
Questers roll into the
They got a 5-inch.
5-inch. The Annihilators re-roll into a 2.
Okay. Very good for Jeff this time around. He's going to be able to heroic recovery on his turn, heal a little bit, and probably he's. If I had to imagine, that Bloodthirster is going to be healing himself.
Since we're still having problems with the green screen, do you guys just want to keep the dice roller cam on? And
Yeah, that's fine.
you just go ahead.
Yeah. That 2-inch charge from the Annihilators coming in real rough. I think
I think that's a break for Jeff here.
absolutely.
after Joe spiked his long strike dice.
Yeah, and potentially getting back 6 wounds top of turn between heal and the heroic recovery.
Yep.
Big.
Yep.
Big.
Heroic recovery basically almost automatic. When you have 10 bravery, you just got to roll 10 or less on 2d6.
Yep.
Almost automatic. Get that d3. He's going to be hitting on a 3 re-rolling for heal to get another d3.
Yep.
I think it's safe to say that Bloodthirster is probably going to be, it's getting at least 2 wounds back. Hopefully for Jeff 6. He definitely wants to see that.
So I see some combat happening. It looks like the Soulsworn going into the dogs. If I were a betting man, Eli, those dogs not going to be here very long.
Oh, I doubt Jeff even did all-out defense. There's no need for him to.
I mean, hey, free blood tithe.
He might have because he's going to get it back as a command point. He still has his general on the table.
I mean, I
You might just in case, like.
Yeah, with the just weight of dice coming in from the Soulsworn.
Sure.
They're 12 attack through at rend 1.
Yeah.
Gonna be real rough to save there.
Yep. Especially when he doesn't have the -1 hit bubble up yet.
Yep.
Because that Bloodthirster just a little too far away. And look what we saw. Dog's gone. Blood tithe up.
Hey, I'll trade a unit of dogs for Blood Tithe.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's the good thing about Khorne battle line. Unless you're doing the big Blood Warrior block, you don't really care if they die. You just summon more stuff.
Yeah. So just to harken back to the Soulsworn, 3 attacks, 3s, -1, 2 damage apiece. They're a lot choppier than you would expect.
Yeah, that's why I love that unit. Another unit that benefits really well from the coherency change. Even though they were designed with the old coherency change in mind, I believe they have 2 inches on their weapon, which is still great. Just means that your end units can hit further away if you want to.
Yeah. And I mean, we already talked about the free teleport.
Yep.
It's great to see, and counting for more off the outside of your territory.
This unit just does a lot.
Yeah. And for 230 points, it's quite a bit, especially in Stormcast when you are, I would say, normally hurting for points.
Yeah. They've had a slight points drop on some things, but
Yeah.
they are an elite unit. They're appointed to be one, for sure. You don't reinforce a lot. You take a lot of MSU, a lot of 5-man units, 2 to 3 wounds on the wound per model. Trench Badger, thank you for following.
There we go.
Really appreciate you.
Welcome. Don't forget to hit hashtag Jeff Smile in chat if you are
Jeff
interested.
Smiles, make it plural.
Smiles. Sorry, it's a little hard to see. I wonder if we could get a little bit of stroke on that text.
I can make it a different color.
Honestly, if we just add a stroke to it, it should be fine.
How's that look?
A
little better.
We still need the stroke.
But yeah, outline it.
Do you know how to do that?
Spencer might be hitting the tech
if
box
you-
just a second here.
Just drag.
I'm
over-
glad he
drag the
knows what's
screen-
going on, because I don't when it
screen
comes to
over
tech.
to this
I'm just here.
monitor.
I'm pretty faced.
Right click on.
I see
The-
some dice
the
being
giveaway.
rolled. I will check my chat to see what
Properties.
happened.
Scroll down.
Primal dice roll.
Keep scrolling. Outline.
Joe is dispelling his own meteor.
There you
It's
go.
gone.
And if you could reverse it to where it's a black outline and white text.
Get that nice behind the scenes. This has been Tech Talk, brought to you by Spencer.
All right. And if you scroll down and make that outline size higher. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I would do 25. Or as big as you can make it. Perfect. That looks great.
Looks like Joe put Mystic Shield on the questers. He's going to have +1 to save on them.
And we do have a VP update.
Joe getting a nice...
Yeah, and
5 points there.
that is something to think about. Azuri is they are encouraged to take MSU just based on the way they are pointed
And the way they're
It's-
designed, yeah.
Yeah, and so I do think that's from a lore perspective pretty cool.
Yep.
Because you get to see kind of smaller units running around together rather than an army of Stormcast, which while Sigmar does have, he doesn't necessarily deploy them in such a way.
Yeah.
And so I think this is one of those nice intersections of lore and gameplay.
We never see the full might of the Stormcast Eternals.
Yeah.
We see waves. It is very cool. For a while on tabletop, you saw and even then, you never saw double reinforced units. You would always see a single reinforced. We saw that with Annihilators near the beginning of the edition. We saw it with Long Strikes near the beginning of the edition. But for the most part, MSU is king in this army.
Yeah. There's a question from Dirty Gabo. Why the Jeff Smiles hashtag? So, Jeff is known for not smiling, and we're really just trying to bring this bloodthirster some joy in his life. He gave us a nice little selfie in our private Discord channel. There, oh God, that is horrifying. I apologize, folks. I know it's October, but that is scary shit on TV. Jeff doing a little bit of measurement. I would bet for those Hexagorger skulls. Trying to figure out where
Yes.
they're going to be thrown out.
He did get the Hexagorger Skulls, assuming from the Realmgore Ritualist. Based on how far away he's put in them, yes, he did from the Realmgore Ritualist, which is, I believe, the unit that's in the Skull Altar.
Yep.
So you got double range on there.
Yeah. Could we do a quick little zoom in on the top left? Top left.
Bottom left.
Top left.
You want top left?
Top left.
Top left.
So we had a question from Azri about the obscuring pieces. So if we take a look here, the impassable terrain is anything that is larger than 4 inches tall. So that piece there, that inspiring piece, is going to be impassable. The piece below that, the spine, is obscuring as well. So that's going to be blocking off some shots. And then if we go to the right as well. Yep, top right. We'll be able to see there's a piece there that's kind of out of frame slightly. It's a big set of spikes ribbed cages that is also going to be obscuring. Thank you, Siren Zulu, for entering that. Hopefully, we get quite a few more entries. But right now, it looks like we have 8 so far. So your odds are good. The goods are odd.
Nice.
So things that have happened since the transition: heroic action heals the bloodthirsters. Joe rolls for leadership, does not get the CP. Jeff prays for skulls on a 3 rerolls and gets it on the reroll. Then Jeff prays for heal.
So it looks like, yeah, Jeff got one heal back, 1 wound back on each of the recovery and the prayer.
Yep.
But he did get the double range on the skulls.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So Jeff threw out those skulls, and Joe's response was, "Fuck it, I'm going to keep casting." You know what? That is the ballsy move.
There's your one.
I get more than one, Chad. I'll take as many as I can.
Blood Boil does 2 mortal wounds on the Annihilators at least.
No, that's Joe's one. So that's just you. You still have your one.
And end of the hero phase, Joe's going to do some funky stuff. He's got some blood tithe. I assume he did blood sacrifice with the other prayer, but I could be wrong. It was not mentioned by the stenographer.
Well, we had Blood Boil, we had Heal, and Skulls.
Oh, Blood
so
Boil.
So he's out of prayers there. Those Vanguard are moving up in the movement phase and going to be taking out some Vanguard hunters that are down there in that bottom right. Going to be real rough.
Yeah, blood tithe was all banked. So he's just got, what, 2 blood tithe right now?
So he's got.
I want to say.
He's got two.
He only got 1 ignore last turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the one from the dogs. Yep.
Yep.
Fair. Jeff doesn't really need it right now. The army's pretty close to him. He doesn't really have much of a need to go elsewhere. He can save it for next turn. Pretty much banks the 2 blood tithe if he wants to for next turn. If Joe wins a priority and takes the top of the turn, he's got 2 blood tithe to save for a spell. Basically, basically saying like, hey, Joe, if you take the turn and you want to go for magical dominance, well, I've got this nice sweet blood tithe here that says, nah, you ain't taking that battle tactic.
Yeah, honestly, really what that is it's not only dissuading, it's telling him you have to try other battle tactics, and I'm going to turn those off with Murder Lust.
Yep.
Yeah. Reavers run 4 more than they need. Yeah, they're just going over there to kind of hold that point down.
Makes sense.
Really make room for those Skull Crushers to go into the Soulsworn there.
Kind of what he really wants with them.
Yeah. I would really suspect Scarbrand to hold off and just kind of run around that piece of terrain down there in the bottom. Really be used as a counterpunch.
Yeah, because Scarbrand could go in this turn.
He could. He wouldn't get the benefit of not having fought in the last round.
No, Carnage would be on a 4-up.
Not great. Really waiting until the next round and then going in and picking up either a hero or a unit of Vanquishers. Just really something that's sitting there just wanting to be eaten.
To be fair, it is still a 4-up to do 8 mortal wounds, which is, if I remember correctly, 1 shy of what that unit has.
That's fair.
On top of that, after that, it's 8 attacks, 2s and 2s.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chad. Giving me a drink to wet my whistle here.
Yeah, and so Jeff took Intimidate the Invaders.
Stay hydrated, folks.
Tag the Slayer. Welcome.
Thank you, Tag. Welcome. Love it. Tag the Slayer.
Hey, don't forget to hit hashtag Jeff Smiles in chat. Try to win yourself some measuring widgets as well as a nice little dry brush palette. And, maybe we'll try to get like a little short together.
Hey, look, we're back on screen. I love it.
I mean, hey, you're beautiful.
I love my face being on screen.
I
love your face being on screen.
Thank you. Yeah. So something to think about here. Intimidate the Invaders. Vanguard out. Blood Reavers out. Claws of Karanak going to be out. Going to be tight on the rest of it. So I really do think that that's something that Jeff has to worry about. The Soulsworn are really blocking off that middle passage.
Yep.
Both sides of terrain are impassable, so not going to be able to be moved over there.
Yeah.
So really,
He's going to have to deal with them at some point.
yeah.
That's the bigger problem. But dealing with them also means moving into like clear visibility of the long strikes, which is kind of hard.
Could we get a bottom left zoom in?
I think the bigger issue. Let's talk about what units does Jeff care about this turn. Of Joe's, I don't think he cares about the Vanguard Hunters. I don't think he cares about the long strikes. I think he cares about the Soulsworn, and he cares about the birds. Just remember, the birds. If Jeff has an enemy unit has his unit within 12 inches of those birds, those long strikes are getting +1 to hit. They're hitting on 2s against them. I don't think Jeff wants to deal with that. So I think he wants to take out those birds as soon as possible. Maybe he wants to throw the Skull Crushers into the Soulsworn just to keep them on the point there. Because he can, if he kills one of them, he can really work on taking the point, right? And if he attacks them first, he can get the ward back. He's not really worried about them dying in combat.
All right. So we did see Jeff kind of teleporting the Slaughter Priest there. Turns out that big Skull Rock thingy is garrisonable. So it is escape to Skull Mountain.
That's right.
There's a little cave there at the front that that Slaughter Priest is gonna be taking root in.
That cave, he painted that with like Vanta Black paint too, didn't he? So it's like got like a nice void inside. Like you can't see the back of the wall. It just
I have a void inside.
Spencer, I'm sorry. May I fill that void with my love?
More cowbell. So yeah, I think
More
you're
cowbell,
right.
equal.
Yeah, I do think that getting those Aether Wings out of the way is going to be really important. Jeff does have to be careful here. He has 3 units that are currently out. He has 5 units inside.
Yep.
So just math-wise, that's going to be really rough. I think what he's going to try to do is get his Bloodthirster in to the Soulsworn and then jump them. I
could see that. But how many units does he have on the outside right now? I see the Claws of Karanek. I see the Reavers. I see the Vanguard on the bottom there. And what's that 3-man unit? Is that one of Joe's?
It's Vanguard.
Yeah, I see the Vanguard. What's the unit underneath Jeff's right hand there?
Vanguard Hunters.
Oh, the Vanguard Hunters right there. Okay.
So I think... sorry, I just noticed that the round 1 battle tactic is surrounded and destroyed instead of surround and destroy. Neat little tidbit there.
He did the surrounding and the destroying.
Yeah. I think maybe the Bloodthirster tries to go into those Aether Wings. The problem that he's going to run into is... I don't know if this was the right choice for battle tactic.
I'm not sure it was
really, really tied him up there. He's not going to be able to get anything around them.
And you know what? It's entirely...
Hold on. We've got a redeploy from Joe.
And it's, you know what? It's entirely possible that Jeff could have just picked a battle tactic that he throws away.
Yeah, Khorne has definitely been playing on the back foot, especially these early turns into an army like Stormcast.
They really toe the line.
So I think Joe just kind of opened up the ability for Jeff to get that battle tactic.
They made it very easy. If those Skull Crushers make the charge, he's got it. Because remember, it's half your units. Jeff only has 8 units on the board.
Yeah,
just needs a 4th unit outside.
It looks like Scarbrand's probably going to go into those Annihilators.
Probably. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Azri made a good point that the Skull Priest going into the garrison there, you have to take out those Annihilators, otherwise they are going to just
charge the dude. And...
Yeah. So one thing that Jeff has to be careful of is the pylon on the Annihilators.
It could have pulled that priest into combat if you didn't take him out.
So it looks like maybe the Bloodthirster going in as well. With Jeff's movement abilities that he has with Murder Lust, getting back into a good position is not going to be terribly hard next turn.
Yep.
I think the problem that he's going to run into is he's opening up a pretty big lane where if Joe gets that turn and takes it, he drops another unit of Annihilators deeper into that corner.
He's got both of them out. Oh no, it's Vanguard Hunters on the side. I keep only seeing 3 models, so I keep
We're a
confused.
little cut off there at the bottom.
That's okay.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind. He drops another unit there, dishes out some mortal wounds, and just pins effectively, and just starts taking the board there.
I totally agree with Ashley's comment. I think he has to attack with Scarbrand first.
Yeah.
Because he cannot let the Annihilators try to attack him. They hurt. It's what, 3 rend, 2 damage on 9 attacks? Something like that? It's insane.
And based on positioning, depending on how the charge goes, he could potentially get 2 into that Slaughter Priest, which just gives Jeff a little bit of an uphill battle.
I mean, we'll see what happens, right? Jeff could get really lucky with his shooting. He's the Bloodthirster's got a shooting attack. Scarbrand's got a roar. If we get lucky, if Jeff gets lucky and there's only 1 Annihilator alive, he can leave the unit alone.
We got 1 Annihilator down.
Okay.
From shooting.
10 attacks, 3s and 2s. Yeah. Oh, I had it flipped around. -2 rend, 3 damage.
Yep.
3 damage apiece. Yeah. Well, it is going to be 4s and 2s because of the -1 to hit. Yeah. Unless Joe spends a command point. That's probably not where he wants to spend a command point.
I think spending a command point to trade for a Slaughter Priest is not bad. Think of it
Slaughter
that way.
Priest?
If he's able to.
I don't think he can't get that Slaughter Priest. Slaughter Priest came out of the garrison.
No, he's in the garrison.
Oh, he's still in the garrison.
He moved into the garrison.
Oh, I thought he came out of the garrison.
No. He moved into the garrison.
My misunderstanding.
And that's right, Leo. That is what we were talking about. Potentially setting himself up for a failed battle tactic round 1. While I would have chosen a different one to throw away.
Like magical dominance?
Yeah. Jeff is not necessarily hurting too much.
No.
Khorne, from what I've seen and played against it, they don't mind taking a loss on the battle tactic turn 1.
They're doing a nice. They play a tightrope where they can drop a battle tactic as long as they deny you one or 2, as well. Because like we said, they play a big battle tactic denial game. They got a really strong set of abilities. They play the game really well. They play a very nice anti-meta army, and like you can tell good Khorne players from bad Khorne players by the way that they thread their battle tactics.
Yeah. And Leo, unfortunately, no summoning. That would have happened at the end of movement where you've already shot past shooting.
He doesn't really have any. He doesn't have enough to really summon anyway. He only has 2 blood type. I guess he could. No, I think he needs 3 minimum to summon. Yeah. 3 gets him a blood master. I know that. I can't remember if he gets anything on 2. 2 might get him like 5 dogs or something.
Yeah, while that is technically possible, I don't know if Jeff should trade a Bloodthirster for battle tactic this early. Later in the game, possibly, but I do think that Jeff is going to try to use the ability from the Skull Crushers to get in, deal some mortal wounds, and then try to pile out.
Asri assumes that the Bloodthirster's charging. That Bloodthirster's not charging. He has no need to. Those Annihilators don't have a ward.
Yeah.
And they're already be affected by -1 to hit. I only see Scarbrand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look at that. Jeff setting himself up to get his battle tactic.
He won't have it. So he only has 4 units outside, even with the pile in.
You only need half. It's not more. It's half. He only has 8 units. 4 of them will be outside.
It is more friendly units outside your territory than
it's
inside.
more?
Yes.
Oh.
Just to clarify. Yeah. So I
screw
don't know if that was a misplay on Jeff's part, misunderstanding of the rules, or if he has big bloodthirster brain going on.
To be fair, if you're going to drop a tactic, I think right now is the right call to drop it.
Yeah.
If you can get rid of that Annihilator unit, the Vanguard Hunter unit on the bottom there, and then pile in your Skull Crushers into the middle there.
Yeah. So, Jeff, go ahead.
And he's got the Closet Karnak into the Ether Wings. Like I said, I think the main units that he cares about are the Ether Wings and those Questor Swellsword. I think getting the Annihilators is going to be a bonus. Although it's very possible. If we're already in combat,
Yeah, so just got
Just choosing not to
confirmation.
charge.
Jeff misplayed.
And yeah, he's dropping his tactic. Cool.
Yeah, he miscounted, which happens. This is a really good time for that to happen with this being a practice game, right? Going into the GT this weekend, probably not a great time for that to happen.
Hey, look, that's why we play the practice games, right?
That is true.
Make the mistakes now. That way you don't make the mistakes later. It's the same thing I tell my kids when they're practicing math.
Right. So we've got the Skull Crushers going in, dealing some mortal wounds. They got a 15-inch charge with that reroll.
Woo!
Yeah, doing some damage there.
Love it.
See if anything else is getting in charging. Could we get a zoom in on that bottom left side? Yeah.
So
Because we got another charge here. Bloodthirster going in.
okay. I don't know if that's a move I agree with, but
Scarbrand going in. He's dedicating himself to, dropping that.
so we're gonna see
unit.
Scarbrand attack first.
Yep.
Because I don't think Jeff is concerned with any of his other units that are on the board.
Yeah.
I don't think those Ether Wings are going to do anything in the Claws of Karnak, and if they somehow just do a bunch of damage, Jeff can get a Blood Tithe. Those Soulsworn, not doing anything to those Blood Crushers or Skull Crushers. They really just aren't. And then the Vanguard, the Vanguard Hunters aren't doing anything to them.
Yeah. So something that is nice, or something that we should call out here, Jeff has done a pretty good job at screening out any annihilators coming in between his pieces of terrain and units there.
Yes.
Really limiting Joe's impact for mortal wounds to try to take out things cheekily. I think something else to keep in mind is moving the Bloodthirster and Scarbrand out is going to remove them from being able to hit with Thunderbolt Volley. So it's one thing, it's one way that he is protecting them inadvertently. I don't know if it was necessarily planned, but moving the Bloodthirster and Scarbrand further away from those long strikes, if Joe gets the turn, then he is going to not be able to shoot them.
Did Joe explode his dead Soulsworn? I presume yes, and like I see every time with that ability, probably no mortal wounds.
Jeff is considering smashing the train to try and make his battle tactic. On a one, the priest dies. The priest is dead. He collapsed the rubble there.
I'm not gonna lie, not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worth it at all.
I think that he does have to also consider that he has to get his Skull Crushers out, and as of right now, he does not have it.
Yeah, but the Skull Crushers at least are gonna get it on the pylon.
Yeah. I think Joe possibly could have pulled differently to try to prevent that, but just something to kind of keep in mind there.
And I think the reason that Joe pulled the way that he did was to stop basically that direct into the Liberator Vanquishers. Thank you. Behind.
And I did get confirmation. Joe did explode at the end of the phase. Did 0 damage, like Eli called.
Yep.
Scarbrand kills the Annihilators.
That ability might as well not exist. In my eyes, I've never seen opponents roll 6s.
2 mortal wounds on the Bloodthirster, fails both of them. So we've got 12 mortal wounds coming in. With that garrison being unoccupied, Jeff does have to worry about Joe getting the turn, dropping another unit of Annihilators, and dropping that Bloodthirster. So Eli, where are you looking at activating if you're Joe?
The Soulsworn, mostly to kind of pin them in place.
Yeah, because that, like I said, if with piling in, so it looks like Joe is illegally piling in right now, which we'll need to let them know.
Yeah, Joe, stop not being within an inch of your other models, dude. As we see him fix his spot. Now, he could alternatively move to the left a little bit and still stop that one dude from getting in. Otherwise, he is still going to have 2 Skull Crushers going into those Vanquishers, which I don't think he wants to do.
No, honestly, I would have used the Vanquishers to pile in and stop that Skull Crusher from getting in. So the way Joe's previously positioned, he had a Soulsworn right there. You pile in the Vanquisher around, and you basically can scoop that top left, you stop them from piling in until they kill the Soulsworn, which they can't do until after they activate. And so that would have been a way that Joe could have stopped that battle tactic.
I can see that, but I don't think it helps him that much because I think it just lets Jeff activate and kill and attack 2 units at once with the Skull Crushers because he was going next with them anyway.
Yeah.
I don't see Jeff doing I don't see Jeff doing the Claws of Karanak beforehand.
Sure.
Although he can do it now, depending on how this combat goes.
Sure. So one thing to keep in mind, though, those Soulsworn are 3-up saves.
Mm-hmm.
They're 3 wounds apiece. 2-up with the all-out defense. I think they would survive more than you would expect.
Probably.
And doing the Vanquishers forces Jeff to make target priority versus having free reign to move.
Yeah, but I think Jeff is totally fine having 2 units into his big anvil
Yeah.
there.
4 damage.
So I think it just benefits Jeff more than it benefits Joe.
Yeah. So we've got 4 damage to get through, and it looks like Jeff is putting it on that lagging behind Skull Crusher.
Yep.
Just hoping that the Vanquishers try to take him out.
You know what's going to be funny? Well, I do think losing his own his own Slaughter Priest in there, it might get him a battle tactic.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what he was going for. I still
He was going to get his
know.
battle tactic one way or another, right?
He's gonna find you. It's gonna get you.
He's going to get you. He's going to get you. Considering especially like he does have depending on how the moving and shaking handles in this combat, he could have that middle plus the left and bottom objective.
Yep.
The question is Jeff going to miss that Slaughter Priest?
I think really it depends on if Joe gets the next turn.
Yeah, let's see. What did we lose prayer wise? What was the list? I think we lost what was it, Bronze Flesh? That was one of the Bronze Fleshes. Luckily, Jeff mitigates that by having it on the Realm War Ritualist. And I want to say he had the Bloodbind.
You want me to just pull up the listing?
So,
All in all, if he was going to lose one of them, if he was going to lose one of his priests, this might be the priest to lose.
So I disagree. What he's losing bronze flesh and bloodbind. He loses out on positioning. So having that priest in that garrison now is a footprint to stop a 7-inch deploy from those annihilators.
It's still doing that, isn't it?
No, in the sense of mortal wounds coming from the annihilators.
Oh,
Dropping
sure.
down. It now has opened up that entire objective for those to come down. They come down. They pop the Bloodthirster with mortal wounds. They get into that Realm Gore Ritualist that's in the altar and take the objective.
But with Jeff's positioning, he's also pushing away from his 2 objectives. I think if he loses those 2 while pushing into Joe's 2 objectives, I think it's a fair trade.
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to is if Jeff wins and gets the double.
Oh, sure.
And takes it, I think he's no worse for wear.
Yeah.
If Joe takes it, I think we're going to see how much Jeff really misses that Slaughter Priest just for that position and blocking out that deep strike.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those where it's not an ideal situation, not an ideal positioning. But I think we'll see what happens in combat, right? Depending on how combat goes, we may not be too worried for Jeff on whether he makes priority or not. If Jeff is able to take out the Ether Wings, that makes the long strike slightly worse.
Yeah. So
if Jeff is able to put some hurt in the middle of the board and push for positioning there, he's not going to be too bad either. Jeff will be able to kind of put pressure on those back 2 objectives while controlling the center, and then he doesn't care as much if he gives up his objective. But we'll see how combat goes. I still think the onus might be more on Joe to want to win priority than Jeff.
Yeah. So it looks like the Crushers are splitting 3 and 3.
Yep.
Jeff took all out attack and the Triumph.
So you got the +1 to wound?
Yes.
And +1 to hit.
Yep.
Makes it what, 2s and 2s?
3s and 2s.
3s and 2s for all those
and
stacks.
2s and 2s on the mounts.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking.
Took out the Vanquishers.
Yep.
Joe took all out defense on the Questers.
Not surprised there. Like you said, they're the 3-up save. I think Vanquishers have a 4-up save naturally. Or are they 3-up save too?
Vanquishers have a 4-up save.
They're a 4-up save, yeah. So better to put on the Soulsworn. He's also lost another model, it looks like. So we're at So we're at four out of the 6 remaining. And if that's Joe rolling for oh, that's the saves. Saves on the Saltworn. Okay. So it looks like Jeff got a unit half dead. That's pretty good.
Yep.
The big thing as well is what we're probably going to see out of Jeff next turn, no matter what, is that he's going to heroic recovery his Bloodthirster, right?
Yep.
Because his Bloodthirster has 12 wounds on it. 1 wound's going to make it. That D3 mortal wounds has to. Well, he's 4 wounds away from dying because Bloodthirsters have 16 wounds. Just anything that he can get helps a lot.
Yeah. So having 2 questers on that objective, looks like he's rolling some blow ups.
Yep.
Does 1 mortal wound, picks up one of the crushers.
Yep.
Perfectly fine. Looks like Jeff rearranged where that damage was.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But losing 4 of the Soulsworn in 1 turn, that hurts. That's rough.
Yeah. We'll have to see those long tricks kind of carrying the weight here.
Absolutely, they're going to. Basically, Joe is now down to his 2 units of long strikes, and the last unit of annihilators is his big damage pieces, trade pieces. Jeff took a huge hit, or sorry, Joe took a huge hit from Jeff.
Yeah, looks like 5 mortal wounds from the Vanquishers popping.
Makes sense. Okay. Looks like this. So Jeff rolls some wards.
And what is he getting wards from?
The Flayed Ones sub-faction, they already fought in combat. Because they have fought, they get a 5-up ward.
Okay.
Till the end of the combat phase.
Is that all units, or is it specific types?
I believe it is Bloodbound units, so it's just like the mortals, essentially. So wouldn't go on the Bloodthirster, wouldn't go on Scarbrand, wouldn't go on the Fleshhounds. But it's okay, because they get their ward from range that the mortals don't have. Skull Crushers being the exception, they have a ward against specifically spell damage.
Gotcha. So it looks like the Skull Crushers did take 4 of those. Rough. Not ideal there, but something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Looks like we've got Aether Wings that are going, just trying to pop. We have Vanguard Hunters. Jeff uses the last CP to all-out defense the Vanguard. Vanguard Hunters are swinging in right now.
Yep. And Asri popping in to say, just to kind of confirm what we were talking about, the mortal wounds that pop from the exploding models technically happen at the end of the phase. So the Flayed Ones ward does still affect because it's after they have activated.
Yep. So Jeff saves 1 and takes 3. Rough. Rough into those Vanguard. Looks like we have the claws going into the birds. I don't know how much of a slap fight this is going to be.
Claws of Karanak could do some damage.
Yeah, it depends on how many you can get in. I think his short range charge really limiting him here. But we'll see.
But it's also Aether Wings. You remember how easy they die? Anybody can kill them except for Jeff's Archeon. Jeff's Archeon famously cannot kill birds. Anyone else? Anything else? Totally kill birds. But Archeon? No. Archeon can't kill birds. But let me take a look. I'm going to pull up that Claws of Karanak War Scroll. Cool that it's a native battle line, too. Warcry unit that's just a natural battle line, no matter what. So they got the Weapons of the Hunt, which is their basic attack. 2 inch range, 2 attacks, force, -1, 1 damage. Pretty cool. But then also, there's the Gouge Claws, which is specific models on there. 2 out of 8 of them have a Brutalizer, which gives them an extra attack on their melee weapons. And the little Hound dude, one of them, has the Gouge Claws. 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 1 damage. I think Aether Wings are going to have a bad time. But you're right. It's depending on how many models he can get in, because Jeff did get a short charge on them.
Yeah, 4s and 4s should be half, statistically.
Should be.
So you're getting in a quarter of those attacks that go through into saves. Knowing how Jeff rolls, I'd be surprised if we see that, just making it through that first
Yeah,
part.
he might just but he's rolling he's not rolling his bad dice of old. So and I think it really comes down to any damage that, I was gonna say anything that Jeff puts through, just go straight through. Aether Wings don't have a save.
Yep.
They're like zombies, but flying, and also totally not zombies.
Yeah. So as you're giving some pointers on the list here, thinking the +1 to hit is nice. Taking Griffhounds may be better for the Aether Wings, as Griffhounds would be able to retreat, giving Jeff a little bit more trouble with the target priority there.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the Aether Wings is more of a play into the other model choices that he made. I think it's meant to be a play into the long strikes, which I think Joe relies on for a bulk of his damage, being able to do huge damage without having to engage. I think what we saw was just a unit that needed to be aggressive into an army that will happily play back into that aggression, right? Like that pregame move from the if that's a unit of Fleshhounds, those Aether Wings are fine.
Yep.
The fact that the Claws of Karanak got that move, pregame move, then were able to move in their turn and make that charge, huge. Yeah, the Griffhounds all do work well against the summoning and anything that teleports in, but I think that's not as much of Joe's concern as just nuking your threats before they can be effective into his army. I think it's just like at this point, like I think it's a coin flip, and it's more just like a player choice for what they want to do. I totally understand the argument for Griffhounds, and I think they would be fantastic in this list. You just got to play it a little differently, right?
Yeah. So it looks like Vanguard going into the Vanguard Hunters, 3 getting in at -3 for 6 damage. I think those Vanguard Hunters are likely to pop the Vanguard off the Mortal Wounds coming back.
It's possible.
But I don't see
One has 4 damage on it right now, so we shall.
We shall. So Azri, as of right now, who do you have taking this game? How do you feel Joe has placed his units? And looks like 2 mortal wounds from blowing up. Vanguard have the 4-up save. Saves 1, takes another. So looks like he will be losing a Vanguard at the end of this combat phase.
Which I think he's fine with.
Yeah, I mean, do you see that big pile of red dots on the left near the dice tray, Eli?
Yep.
Blood Tithe.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Blood Tithe.
8 Blood Tithe is pretty good. You know what 8 Blood Tithe gets you?
No.
20 blood letters.
It's a lot of blood letters.
You know what's good? 20 blood letters.
Very true.
But also, even if he doesn't use it for the big blobs, he can use it for little stuff just for position and stop some stuff. You want to know what Jeff can get for 3 Blood Tithe? A meteor made out of brass.
He's got to make that 4 up.
Roll 8, pick a unit on the board, roll 8 dice. Every 5 up is a mortal wound, if I remember correctly. If the wound's characteristic or the total mod count, something like that, is like 10 or higher, then it's on 3 ups instead. Something like that. Do a bunch of mortal wounds. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there was blood, and there will be blood. If you look, like we said, if you look on the left side of your screen there at all those red tokens, that's Jeff's counter for Blood Tithe. And I see 9 Blood Tithe.
Yeah, 9 Blood Tithe. Jeff gets 1, 2 more, and the Battle Tactic for 5, so they're even on VP. We're going to switch to the Priority Cam here.
So we should have Priority Cam on screen, because we should still have the dice tray on screen.
Yep, if we could get Dice Tray on screen. There you go, Party Slut. Appreciate you. So I think Joe has to take it here.
Oh, 100%. Are you kidding me?
I'm curious where the meteor goes.
Yeah. The meteor's got, what, a 30-inch range?
Yep. Oh, hey, thanks for the heads up. Didn't know about the audio issue.
Oh,
We'll
okay,
fix it
yeah,
for the
just
future.
straight up no audio on the on the full dice tray. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like we were saying, Joe pretty much has to take this priority here. Or yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I have an idea.
Joe got to take that priority. Question is, where is he going to put that explosive meteor? The other question is, what is Jeff going to do to say, hey, no, to whatever Joe's plan is for the turn? Because at this point, Joe could drop his Annihilators and hit the Bloodthirster and Scarbrand. Do I think that's a good idea? No, not at all. They're not near the game at the moment.
I mean, I think really what it comes down to is what mortal wounds output does Joe have?
Yes.
Getting the mortal wounds into the Bloodthirster and Scarbrand gonna really hurt. I think the other part is going to be getting those long strikes to activate.
Yes.
And to double shoot into the Skull Crushers. That's really his option for getting them out of the middle of the board.
I agree. I think he either needs to focus fire on the Skull Crushers or he needs to focus on everything else.
Yeah. We did have confirmation that Jeff is popping the Pouch of Null Dust.
Yep.
So any double ones, double twos, or double threes from Joe is going to be an automatic miscast.
The perfect time to do it.
Addition to the 8, rolling an 8 is a miscast.
Yeah.
And Jeff
Yeah.
just taking 2 Blood Tithe and saying no cast.
Yeah.
So,
Which I will find out. We'll find out momentarily if that was relevant. It's very possible that Joe took Magical Dominance because Joe should have picked his battle tactic before Jeff decides to pop the Pouch of Null Dust. Although I think popping the Pouch of Null Dust anyway, probably the right idea at this turn. This is a very pivotal turn in this matchup specifically. Turn 2 is very important in this matchup.
Yeah. So did get confirmation that we have Intimidate the Invaders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it looks like the Pickrot didn't hear that, but Jeff did. So all good to go on the order of operations.
As long as we had that, and I think what we just saw, it looked like an attack roll, was I saw 3 6s, which is probably the Thunderbolt Volley.
Oh, yeah. I'll take that all day, every day.
Yeah. No ward on those.
Nope.
Just the mortal wound, because it's not spell damage.
Yep. So Azri looks like he's beating odds there, which is nice to see. I think with another activation and potentially getting some mortal wounds in there, it's going to hurt.
Yes, I do agree. 3 Skull Crushers dead makes that unit a lot more manageable for Joe, especially when he's got 2 more shots of that coming in the shooting phase. If Joe can clear the Skull Crushers before combat, I think he's in much better shape. And I think, like we were talking about earlier, we're probably going to see those Annihilators, that second unit of Annihilators drop in. And with that Slaughter Priest dead, like you were mentioning, Spencer, he's got a nice little hole on the left side there. Would not surprise me if he pops in 9 inches away from everything, within 10 inches of, hopefully, the Bloodthirster, the Rumble Ritualist, and the Claws of Karanak, and just hitting all 3. Maybe going after charging that terrain piece to kind of stop one of those heroes, while also being able to keep that objective, because that's the bigger thing, right? He needs to take that objective.
Looks like Joe is trying for Blizzard.
Okay. Better hope he doesn't roll that 5 up.
Bold move.
Bold move.
Coming in, I mean, that is his grand strat. And I think at this point, it's kind of, he's having to throw that Hail Mary.
Yeah. He could send the Annihilation in the Vanguard. I do not think that is the... I do not think that would be a great position for him as insurance for getting a... insurance for guaranteeing objectives. But it is an option.
All right, we've got some rolls happening. Don't know what's happening
I'm
here.
waiting for the YOLOing from the Blizzard. I am waiting for the yells from the garage of happiness or cries of sadness as Joe rolls like 4 1s. Or, Jeff rolls the 5 up and make it not matter.
Yeah.
Let me make sure the camera didn't die.
I'm going to cast Blizzard onto like 18. I rolled a 5 up.
So looks like he rolled an unmodified 8.
Unmodified 8. Oh, he's in range of those skulls, isn't he?
We have a TO question. Can he roll primals to double sixes to automatically cast it?
Let's take a look. We got to look at how skulls is worded.
So, from my understanding, the casting roll is not complete.
It's -2 from casting rolls. If a wizard within 8 inches of this invocation attempts to cast a spell and an unmodified casting roll is an 8, and remember, primal dice count as modifiers. So it is the attempt is not successful. So it does get around the primal success because it says the spell is not successful. Not that it's unbound, but it is not successfully cast. So it does proc skulls, and Joe might have accidentally lost himself the game in this very moment. Taking D6 mortal wounds. Luckily, it's not a primal miscast. It's not a miscast. It's just the wizard will take D6 mortal wounds, which is not enough to kill it. Luckily, it's, I believe, 8 wound creature. But he did get rid of the invocation.
Hey, that's helpful for the next couple casts. But, I mean, Jeff does still have Unbinds in his pocket as well as the automatic Unbind.
I do appreciate the Ever Salty coming in here and just being like, nope.
Skulls? What does he know?
What does he know?
What does he know?
He knows a lot of things.
I don't know.
He's Ever Salty on the internet. He's got to know a lot of things. But you know who this is. This is our good old hillbilly friend.
The Cajun, right? I mean, George is basically Louisiana.
Yes, yeah, he popped 3 crushers essentially with Thunderbolt Volley. Yeah, he did 8 damage. If Joe's rolling hot on one thing, it's his long strike shooting this game.
Joe casting Meteor on 11, rolling primals to double 6. He did not. So Jeff is going to spend 2 blood tithe to stop that.
Which he did. We saw that earlier in the turn. Yep.
Yeah. I think
makes sense stopping the comet with the 100%. He doesn't need any of the other abilities right now. Stopping that meteor is really like the biggest thing, I think. The only reason not to do it is if he wants to risk rolling the 5-ups to get the extra blood tithe. But honestly, Joe's got enough. Also, one thing we know. Thank you, Ever Salty, for mentioning. Skulls takes away your spells, so that wizard no longer knows Merciless Blizzard. Doesn't matter. His command trait says he knows it. Skull says no, he don't.
That is rough.
It's gone. So yeah, we see Joe's hot long strike shooting get balanced out by the most unlucky roll that he could have gotten. Not a fan of Hexculture Skulls, but I cannot deny how good and effective they are.
Arcane Bolt on a 7. Looks like pile of primals to unbind.
Yep.
That was a very interesting interaction.
Love to see it. Moments like these, why I love Khorne. That's just a really silly interaction. That's just like, oh, great. Love it. And now Joe has to move on with his life. Moving the Vanguard Hunters forward. Makes sense. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Ever Salty. Pouch and Nullstone Dust plus Skulls essentially makes you miscast from anything from a double 1 to a double 4.
I mean, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah. And the double 4 having the worst effect. Just awful. On top of the fact that he's already -2 to cast, which means he basically needs a roll that doesn't miscast, and then is going to have to throw a primal die in order to be able to get anywhere close to casting.
Yeah. So we have that Griff Charger teleporting over behind the Vanguard Hunters there, just trying to get out of dodge, so to speak.
That is a good question. I don't think the Knight and Cantor was within 8 inches of the skulls. It's very possible. Oh, no, it was, because it's totally on the right.
Side.
So that wizard should have taken D6 mortal wounds. Also, Joe should move that die, that wound roll. Gotta represent correctly on the board. Look, those skulls are pouring blood out of their eye sockets for a reason. 3 mortal wounds on the Knight and Cantor, I assume. Don't apologize. This is important. They're both preparing for a GT. It's good for them to learn. Joe got to learn how to play against Khorne. Don't know the last time that Joe played against Khorne. At least not with Stormcast. Oh, can we get a description of Joe's face right now? I don't think we want to see Joe's face right now. That look of just...
Joe thought, okay, so clarification. Joe thought the explosion was from the wizard, not from the skulls.
Oh, okay, yes. No.
But did take 3 damage on, looks like on both.
Yes, it's the explosion from the skulls.
Joe does have to learn to play. But hey, that's what he's doing right now.
Joe has had a dip of forays into a couple of other armies. Spent a little bit of time with Soulblight. Was dipping into Fire Slayers. I remember he wanted to bring Fire Slayers to Vault Wars, but was not going to be able to bring that army to a standard he was going to be happy with, painting wise. And he'd rather play something he knows that that would take less time painting than bring a rush paint job he wouldn't be happy with. And I completely agree. That makes total sense. We'll see. What do we got? We got a lonely boy. Oh, I think he's measuring for that first where that Annihilator can go.
Yep. Trying to maximize damage output.
Yep, get as many units as possible for that drop.
Yeah, that Ritualist is taking up some room there.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like even with that...
Joe opting to still hit the Skull Crushers, so he's definitely going after those Skull Crushers. And I think the thought process is that Bloodthirster and Scarbrand are very far out of play, and he's just going to try to control the middle of the board there. Not a bad strategy.
Yeah,
I can see it being an option. It also kind of leaves his it doesn't leave his Annihilators just out in the middle of nowhere without any kind of support.
So it looks like Skull Crushers take 2 mortal wound, landing misses on the claws, which is how that works out math wise.
Yeah.
And it looks like Zining is saying they need to paint some FEC if they go to Slambo. 1, you should go to Slambo. 2, lists are due on Sunday, so go to Slambo.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your list in on time.
Go to Slambo,
And
get your list in, paint some FAQ,
Yeah.
paint some, paint whatever you want. Just make sure your army's ready. Everybody should go to Slambo. Shout out to our sister club in San Antonio, the Sons of Slambo.
Yeah, and that's true, Trench Badger. It's the same thing for me. You get into that rut of having to paint for an event.
Mm-hmm.
You paint, you get frustrated, you get overwhelmed, you are not happy with it, you don't want to paint afterward, and you end up kind of living with that mistake, so to speak.
Change army, keep Garganel light. My God.
Long strikes, all out attack into Skull Crushers, all out defense, do 6 mortal wounds.
Joe can't stop rolling 6s on long strikes. I hear that unit's pretty good if you know how to roll 6s.
Allegedly. 2 at Ren 2. Let's see how many get through. I don't think Jeff is too mad at this. All he's really doing is pulling those Skull Crushers out. Gonna rally them.
Gonna take him out of combat, yeah.
Then gonna go take that hero off to the right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you get free movement from rallying. That's pretty good.
Yeah. 6 mortal wounds. Second salvo has 2 mortal wounds. It looks like we may be seeing the last of this Skull Crusher unit.
It's very possible, depending on how that's on the Soul Sworn.
No mortal wounds, or no other damage other than the 8 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 on 2 wounds left. And you're right, the Eversalty, you can push for that. My experience has been trying to get to that point, and then doing that in such a short time leaves me burned out.
Yes.
And
for Joe, it would have been full army, too. That army is all gray plastic or primed at the moment.
Yep.
It would have been whereas most of this army was already painted, and he had a lot less to go for, so he could take more time getting what was left to the same standard as the rest of the army. I know, especially for a long time, Joe was trying to get that flesh tone exactly right for what he wanted to do, which is really important when you're painting a bunch of naked dwarves.
So the Ever Salty, they're Daughters of Cain dice, and you cannot pick them up anymore. You can go to eBay and pay $35 for them or so shipped. Just ask me how I know.
Do they have 3 6s on them? They might as well, with how hot that Joe has been rolling them.
Zombie, yeah, if painting isn't fun, it's probably not worth doing for most of us. Sure, I enjoy painting. I think the problem that I have is it ebbs and flows.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that ebb and flow does not always line up with getting stuff ready for events.
Yeah, and some people need that event push in order to get painting at all. But I'm totally with you. Part of the reason that I haven't painted a model in a while.
Yep.
And even the models I was painting were really slow going. Just a couple of heroes. Got a lot of unpainted plastic because I just haven't felt the vibe. Vibes aren't right.
Vibes aren't right.
When the vibes got to be right, vibes are off. Vibes got to be on in order to paint.
All right, looks like we have a 10-inch charge from the Hunters. Looks like they're going to go in, try to tiptoe on that objective.
Yep.
Probably a good choice. Just hopefully they can clear enough from that cause unit so they don't get hurt in that slap back.
Sure, you're right. I did paint that slant recently. It's been like a couple months since I painted that slant. I think I had that slant painted in August. Most recently, it was just I painted the 2 tiny heroes, the Astrolith and the Starseer, but I still have 10 warriors from the launch box that came out in the summer, and Scarvet on Agrodon and 3 Agrodons that I just got to get painted up. I just haven't had the will.
Looks like the Griff Charger's going in as well, just to kind of pin and ensure those claws don't come back.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. Looks like a 9-inch charge from the Annihilators. I don't think they're going to... Oh, they might make it. Oh, they do.
Looks like they barely make it. Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to go in, kind of stick there. I think Joe has a problem that right flank is relatively undefended.
Yeah.
That unit of Varangard is going to swing around and go into that hero.
Very likely. They do have a 10-inch move. Even if they don't swing into the hero, I can see Joe running them, or Jeff running them and moving 16 inches just to get onto the objective.
Yeah.
And do that threatening right there. And if Jeff does get the double, then the Vanguard can just go in and snipe. Right.
Yeah. So it looks like we have mortal wounds that take out the Skull Crusher.
No surprise.
Yeah, I think it's a solid move for Joe. He's really screened out quite a bit, so he's not going to be necessarily worried about stuff going into his long strikes next turn.
Yes. That's the big thing.
Except for the meteor. But
that's something that Joe can't necessarily account for. What he can do is delete the pinning piece in the middle of the board and essentially leave what's left of Jeff's like hammer units all on the edge of the board. He's kind of just keeping control of the objective center and forcing Jeff to have to come forward.
Yeah, so it looks like
Jeff is going to have to rely on summoning to really stay in this game.
All right, so we're going into combat. That Griff Charger is probably going to go into the claws first and start poking at them.
Yeah.
Which will allow the Vanguard Hunters to then pile in more onto the objective.
Yeah. Luckily, Joe doesn't need too many more on the objective. He's got the 1 towing in, and Jeff doesn't have anything on the objective.
All right, looks like we have all-out attack, which results in 2 saves, run 1.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff going to be losing 1 for 2 damage. So he's going to be losing a couple models there. Let's see what else happens.
Yeah. Although Joe getting 2 models onto the objective would mean that Jeff basically can't just like de-garrison his Realm War Ritualist and take it. Little plays here and there. Jeff keeping the Hound makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, extra damage is extra damage, right?
Extra rend, yeah. You like to see it.
Yeah, and you're right. I do think that reserving a hero or 2 that's pre-primed, ready to go for whenever you just need to paint something.
Oh yeah.
Is super nice. I picked up and started working on the Slaves to Darkness commemorative Sorcerer Lord.
Oh, the
that
one with
came
all the little familiars?
Yep.
Heck
And
yeah.
I was like, I'm so frustrated with painting what I was painting that I picked one of those up, painted the little fluke guy, and it was so nice just being able to slap paint on there while my partner was working on her dock.
Yeah. I have those little guys on my desk too. I need to go ahead and just prime them up and just do a nice little slap chop paint on them.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Looks like it's just the
You can say little familiars on my desk, just nice little ornaments.
Hound left. We'll see if Jeff is gonna lose that here shortly.
We'll see. Blood Tithe count is at an 8. So the question is, does he want to worry about getting more? I think the big thing is that Lord Arcanum is at 6 wounds taken.
Yeah.
Kind of don't care about hitting the Vanguard Hunters if I can take out the Lord Arcanum and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
deny Joe's grand strat right off the bat.
Looks like 2 go through, 2 saves. I see 1 save successful.
Both saves successful, I think?
Nope.
No,
Looks like
okay. One goes through. He's at 1 wound left.
Also, I didn't call this out. Bearded Ag, thank you for chatting. Hope to see you
Oh, shit.
follow. Give us, toss us a follow.
Thank you.
Don't forget to hit hashtag Jeff Smiles and a message get entered into our giveaway that we have going on tonight.
Remember, you can only enter once. So if you've already typed it in, your vote is likely counted. Zining, thank you. Thank you for following. We appreciate it.
Hey, there we go. Thank you very much. And Azri, you're absolutely right. That
Oh, Bravery's
Hero-
totally going to get them. Yeah.
hero on bird gonna eat a big brass meteor.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But we know how Jeff's gonna do with 4-ups.
Yep. Joe trying to be very careful with piling here. Want to make sure at least 1 inch between one model and another, while also being able to maximize the number of attacks on that tiny little dog.
Bearded Ag, thank you for the follow.
Oh, we love it. So much love this stream.
I can't wait to see you at Slambo.
Oh man.
I think he's running 30 Boingrots.
30 Boingrots, the madman. Is it 310s or 215s?
310s.
310s, good. 15 is too much. Happy to see all these new entries into the giveaway. That's very, very nice.
Thank you, Swift Relish. Eversalty, the Bleeding Icon loves 30 Boingrots.
The Bleeding Icon does love 30 Boingrots.
What doesn't the Bleeding Icon love, though?
Oh,
Another priest?
yeah, pretty much.
Murder
taking
Roll
his
takes
free-
the Griff Charger to 7 taken on the last wound.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, the meteor happens at the end of the hero phase.
Correct.
So he's going to have the opportunity for heroic recovery.
Yep.
Pull at least 1 wound. Not a great spot to be in.
Not a great spot to be in, but
Yeah. And it looks like we have 5 points for Joe. So 10
No
to
surprise
5
there.
going to the bottom of 2.
and if you all saw that movement from the Annihilators, for those of you that don't know, even though he wasn't engaged, he did make a charge. He does get free movement, and I've been told, free movement is good movement.
I mean, that's what Khorne does.
Yep.
That's right. Joe's sitting at 10.
Joe's sitting at 10, yes. Thank you, Chad, for keeping our score updated.
And that's right, Bearded Ag. You're gonna have very quick games. You're either gonna table or get tabled. That's you live by the lance, die by the lance.
You know what that means, though? It means more time for drinking. More time to imbibe in the good spirits.
Running around like a grot with your head cut off.
Running around at the speed of sound.
More bubber.
Got
You're right.
places
That's
to
absolutely
go.
Right, Bearded Ag. Bubber.
Got to follow his rainbow. He can't stick around. He's got to keep moving on. Just what lies ahead.
All right.
Only
Start
one
of
way to
Jeff's
find out.
phase. He is battle tactic.
Please, somebody understand my joke. Kill the wizard.
Kill a wizard.
Love to see it.
There's 3 wizards on the board. I see 1 good target, another nice target, and then a hard target in the back.
Just no Norris IPA. If Dan could hear you right now.
Listen, Asmi, I know really what you want. You want yourself a Yellow Belly.
What's that?
Oh, it's a Coors. It's a banquet beer.
AKA trash?
It's a delicious.
I love a good beer, but I do not like a light beer.
Heroic action. He did do heroic recovery. Rolled a 9. Bravery 9. Heals 1 wound.
That's how I feel when I roll heroic recovery for my slan. Oh yeah, I rolled a 9. Aw. All
right, so 2 wounds left. Imperatant issues rally for free.
Yep.
Going on to the Soulsworn there. Bringing back none.
Yep, had to try.
I mean, hey, free? Nice. Jeff side-eyeing Joe for not getting to finish his own hero phase.
Looks like healed 2 back on the Bloodthirster. That's nice.
Yep.
The heroic action. Yeah, Joe just
healed
jumping
1.
ahead. Oh, healed 1. Okay.
Hey, at least
He was on
they're
11
staying
taken?
even.
Yeah.
Yep. 10 taken.
No, he's at 10 taken now. I thought he was at 12
Yep.
before. Down to 10. Starting to be a few models on the board. Jeff's got 2 heroes, Varangard and Blood Tithe on the board. Let's get 5. That's a prayer, though I don't know what.
Let's see.
Yes, heroic recovery is equal to or less than bravery, which is why Joe was able to get it by rolling a 9 with the bravery 9.
Yes, and unfortunately, they both just rolled 1s.
Yeah.
It's not because they
Not good
only
healing.
got 1s. It's because they rolled 1s.
Yes.
They get what they roll.
Get what you roll, and you don't.
Killer
Don't get the
Instinct
choice.
to move a free unit.
Okay, makes sense.
So Scarbrand gonna go zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yep. He's got to get into combat. This is the turn.
Yeah. Those
Unfortunate-
Annihilators gonna be real hurting.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's only round 2, which means he is still angry right now.
He is angry. So moving there, I can't wait for Jeff to move with him again, for Joe to redeploy, and for Jeff to fail that 3d6 charge.
I know, right? It would just be poetic. Go for it. What you painting? I see endless spells. Which ones? I need to get me. Speaking of endless spells, I need to get me a.
If I had to bet, Stormcast endless spells. Am I
could
right?
Be, could be Stormcast endless spells if you got a hold of them.
Oh, he has his ways.
Yeah, those like faction endless spells are hard to get a hold of right now. I do need to get myself a hold of a suffocating Gravetide.
Well, if you need to borrow one, you let me know.
I will, because I may get lazy and not paint one up and buy one and paint one up within the next couple weeks. But man, after my point increase, I have to lose an endless spell. I thought I was going to drop Suffocating Gravetide. Then I played 160 zombies, and man, did that show work. I can't afford to not have that.
Goverick is painting Giminids for his 18 glutton list.
Ooh, love it.
And it looks like the Eversalty says, stay outside 9, don't give him the redeploy. You're right, Eversalty. But the problem is, Jeff is going to roll and fail that move. He's going to fail that charge on 3d6. Average of 3d6 is 11. Gonna fail it.
Yep. 10 to 11.
Guaranteed. But hey, you know what? It doesn't matter.
He's just gonna bloodbind him up anyway. Let's go.
There we go. Who needs to worry
bait
about
redeploys? Yeah, who needs to bait redeploys when you can just pull him into combat? What are the chances you think we? I was gonna say, what are the chances we think you think we see Murderlust? But I don't think we need to see Murderlust anymore.
Looks like we have.
Where's the beef over in Jeremy's list? You're right.
So just to give you all some notes, Ritual Praise for Bloodbind. Jeff has to look up what it does. Love to hear it.
Pull a unit 8 inches towards you. You can enter combat.
And it's not 8 inches, right? It's a D6, 2d6, or is it just a strict 8?
No, it's just straight 8 inches. They have to move 8 inches directly towards the unit. That's why Jeff didn't roll. He just pulled the models in.
Well, it looked like he rolled, so I'm looking it up. I got you.
So I also have it open.
Yep, up to 8.
Up to 8.
Nice.
There is nothing in the way. Those Annihilators felt the call of the Blood God.
Dirty Gobbo, you're right. It is sold as a combat army, but it is a control army. But here's the thing.
It is a weird combat control army.
When you think about it, they're controlling combat. And it's I know that sounds like a smart-ass thing to say.
It is.
But what it really is it's allowing you to dictate when to combat and when to not. And it allows you to really restrict your opponent's movement so that you can get in what you want to get in. So I know it seems a little counterintuitive, but I would say it's definitely it is a combat army. They just have the control opportunities to dictate combat. It's similar to the Beast of Chaos and how they play with moving units around and getting 7-inch charges or 5-inch charges off with Bulgors. But they don't want to be in combat in the middle of the board.
No.
Right? So they're going to dictate combat on their terms, and it's the same thing with Khorne.
Yes, and by dictating combat, they're also dictating movement and just all that good stuff.
Looks like Jeff dropped a Meteor. 4 mortal wounds. Tweety Bird is gone.
I look up and see Tweety Bird moved.
Yep, and that is going to be battle tactic achieved. So
battle tactic achieved, grand strategy achieved, grand strategy denied for Joe.
Yep, that's a 6-point swing. If Jeff is able to tag those other 2 wizards.
If Jeff is able to get the other 2 wizards, that will be a 6-point swing. If not, he's basically putting them on even footing on battle tactic. Battle tactic in primaries. Huge move for Jeff right there.
And it looks like just adjusting to make sure Scarbrand is outside of combat so that he does get that 3d6 charge.
Was it probably the biggest disconnect with how the lore versus how they play? Yes, except for I think every prayer they do is metal and very much fits into their lore.
Absolutely.
You cannot escape combat. Come to me. I will combat better because I will give myself extra rend. I'm so devoted. My pecs are so huge. I get +1 to save.
Yeah, I think Govrek really getting that Nimbus cloud for your Stormcast is going to be really cool.
Yeah. Nimbus cloud's really cool.
Just zip-zooping around.
We see Bloodthirster moving on to that objective. He wants to take it. Makes sense. Stay outside 9 inches so Joe can't redeploy on there. That way he takes it 5-1.
Yep. So another 5-point turn for Jeff. Those Annihilators not likely surviving the combat. Honestly, I think you double charge with the Bloodthirsters. You deny the redeploy with the Unfettered Fury, and then if you get in on the Annihilators, you get in with the Annihilators and Scarbrand.
Oh yeah, I agree. He's totally charging Scarbrand in there, ideally with a high enough that he tags on that top one and gets into the middle there.
Yep.
Because then he can just have both of the objectives. Both the middle objective. He has the bottom objective. Joe does not have control of that at all. So you get the middle objective there. If the Bloodthirster makes a charge, you take it. Don't really think you need it. I don't think the Vanguard are within 12. If they are, you roll it. You see if you take it.
7-inch charge not going to make it.
Not going to make it. Good attempt. You got 1-6. You just needed 2. But he's okay. I think Jeff is okay if he doesn't make it on it now because those Vanguard very much a threat.
I wonder if Joe failed the Tweety Bird explosion.
What do you mean?
So on this map, when a wizard dies on a 4-up, units within X amount of inches
Oh, that's
take
right.
D3 mortals.
Within 8 inches will take a D3 mortals on a 4-up. So they would have to explode onto both of his Stormcast units, maybe all 3, depending on what exactly the configuration of those long strikes units are.
Yep. All right, we got the first Bloodthirster in.
Bloodthirster getting
Bloodthirster in.
Yeah, getting a lower charge, so just choosing to get into the Annihilators.
Well, all right, go for it. Yeah, you say it's not good, but is it fun? An army that you have fun with, you're going to do much better at playing than an army you hate.
That is completely correct. And I don't know, man. The Glutton Ball is a lot better than you might give it credit for. I have watched that Glutton Ball in action, and it is a thing of beauty. Nothing more than a pile of meat that you just Once it gets rolling, it don't stop rolling.
So
Reaver's just going down the Soulsborne. Okay.
I think the reason is it guarantees the Annihilators go down. It also gives him the ability for extra movement if he wins the double.
Yes.
If he doesn't, then he just murder lusts away from those long strikes.
Mm-hmm. It also, yeah, as you say, that Bloodthirster is in position. It is wholly behind that obscuring terrain, so those long strikes can't shoot the Bloodthirster. Or yes, it can.
No.
Yeah. Obscuring terrain is just Wildwood rules, right? Bloodthirster too big.
I'd have to check.
Yeah. Bloodthirster should be too big. But either way.
Yeah. And did confirm that Joe did not roll for the wizard dying, but he did and rolled a 1.
Okay. Yeah, I think his long strikes were just too far out because it's only 8 inches.
Scarbrand causes 8 mortal wounds to the Annihilators and lifts them.
Yep.
So then they're going to have some
because the
rolls.
Annihilators had some damage on them.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Eversalty, they're not... one's going to have to be close enough.
No, I don't think any of them are within an inch.
They would have to be.
Or I don't think any of them within an inch of the Bloodthirster, I should say.
They would have to be, because the Bloodthirster charged.
Oh, that's true. Bloodthirster had to get within half an inch. So he's got 1. But as per usual, miss. Wait, Jeff is actually marking damage. Joe rolled a 6 on that damage? I'll roll. He got 1 on.
Looks like the Ritualist takes 1 mortal, Scarbrand takes a mortal. I'm confirming about the Bloodthirster.
The Bloodthirster is, the Bloodthirster's on 10 wounds taken. Scarbrand's on 3 wounds taken. Top bracket.
And Eversalty, the way it works is you get 3 dice per model, but it's on a 6.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, a little less scary. I think if that Bloodthirster was a bit closer to death, you don't make that charge. But at 10 wounds taken, you can afford it when you know Scarbrand's going to murder them. Oh, yes, very good point. 4 dice each because they're Thunderstrike.
Oh, fancy.
12 dice, 6s, on average 2 mortals. You're not too worried. And he got 1 to Scarbrand.
Gotcha.
I see what's likely either saves on Jeff's part or roll. It saves. Never mind. Yeah, 12 dice. And 12 dice is what it should have been. 4 dice per Annihilator. Airborne Night Quester giggling dumb fun. That does sound fun. I do like the sound of that. Jeff had his fans sweating. You're damn right. Although I'm not sweating that much anymore.
I mean, I think I'm really curious to see what happens here if Joe wins.
If Joe wins the priority, I think it's huge.
Yeah, those long strikes are gonna have fun trying to pop one of the Bloodthirsters.
Mm-hmm. Which is really what it's going to come down to, right? Joe, if Joe wins the priority, he's going to take the turn. It's going to come to like control the middle of the board by killing the big threats that are going to come into him, right?
Yep.
If Joe can do that, he's going to force Jeff to be on summons, which is going to come from the altar. If he manages to kill the big pieces in the middle, and then Jeff will essentially be mitigating and not threatening the back edge, which is not necessarily bad. Like we said, Jeff was able to stop the Grand Strat. Jeff was able to stop the Grand Strat, so it's kind of even footing. Being able to get kind of do a tactic battle. If Jeff can deny a tactic, I think he effectively will get a close win no matter what happens.
Looks like.
But also, Joe's going to have a hard time because he doesn't have his Thunderbolt volley anymore. And there are 3 targets that you need to hit. Because let's not forget, the Vanguard is still in the bottom right corner that are going to go and pop both of those tiny heroes if Joe doesn't do anything about it. Looks like Jeff turned his own ward off on the Thirster. Yeah. Looks like Blood Reavers managed to kill one Soulsworn. Good job, Blood Tithe. And I think no matter what it comes down to at this point, like, oh, Soupington, thanks for following.
Ooh, hey,
really appreciate it.
Look at that.
I think and I think no matter what, we look at the board state. We're talking a lot of this stuff, and the one thing I keep looking at is the pile of Blood Tithe Jeff has in the corner, which kind of just, I think, is just a really big gear in the game that Joe just does not have to be able to kind of impact this game. Mm-hmm. Like, Jeff having that lets him just do, like, he can keep hitting those heroes. He's got enough Blood Tithe that he can probably just activate, like, boom, hit the hero, boom, hit the hero until they're dead.
All right, let's go ahead and get Pryocam ready. We've got 1, 2 more
Hashtag
battle
Pryocam.
tactics. So tied at 10, though Joe is down his grand strat.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and see if we can't get that zoom in.
I did put mics back on.
We got mics back on. We were talking. We were full on. Now the thing is, and the curious thing I'm thinking about as well is battle tactics. What else we got here, right? Jeff's probably relying on a battle tactic that involves opponents again in round 3, maybe round 4.
They're making sure we're good over here before they roll.
Yep.
All right, let's see.
Or Roger's saying from Battleshock, I presume.
A 6 from the party at the all points die to the 1 from Joe's Marathi.
Shout out the party boy himself.
Hey, Dayton coming in clutch. Let's go ahead and... Oh, Jeff drops his dice and rolls a 6 on the floor and cringes.
No.
And it looks like it stays true in the dice tray. So Jeff just rolled 2 6s. Thank you, Dayton, very much for the dice. They're beautiful. They roll 6s. Get yourself some party.
What's that? I need to get
dice.
myself some party at the all points.
Go check them out. It's a great podcast full of great people.
God, I've gotten so behind. I have so many episodes I need to catch up on from them. Love those boys.
A real slice of life.
Yeah.
Little podcast to listen to. So we're going into top of round 3. I believe Jeff is going to be taking it.
Don't see a reason why he wouldn't.
We'll get you guys back in the cam for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put me back on. I love it. Let me give me my nice little relaxed swagger.
Swift Relish, you do not have to be here for the giveaway.
No.
Just be aware that if you do win, we will need to contact you via whispers.
Yes.
If you could whisper us prematurely, just in case, and we'll go ahead and just make sure that we have your information to reach out to. And
Or just make sure you keep your eye on your whispers within the next 24 hours.
And that's right, Asri. GG. Sorry, Joe.
I think that double pretty much seals it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're talking it out now. We're gonna get another heroic recovery on that Bloodthirster. Jeff is gonna be able to pressure forward.
So let's talk about battle tactics though. Not gonna be able to get Blend of the Maelstrom.
Probably not.
Because he's going to be killing whatever he gets into.
Probably. His only chance...
Surround and Destroy is going to be hard.
He can do it, though, because it doesn't care about starting army.
It does.
It does care about starting army? What am I... Oh, it's Intimidate the Invaders that doesn't care about starting. Okay.
Yeah. So, letting the Maelstrom, no bait and trap, because he only has the 1 unit in combat.
Yeah. I don't think he has anything close enough to the Skull Altar to be able to get the Kill Skull Altar. One. I'm trying to remember what the other Khorne book battle tactics are. I can look them up. I got them right at the bottom of my page here. Let's see. Enemy unit within 8 inches. Nope. Trial of Skulls, pick a friendly unit. 8 or more models are slain by attacks. Not going to happen against Stormcast. Just in general.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to tag 2 units, and they got to be pretty full.
What about
we got No Cowards Among Us. Complete battle tag the end of turn if all friendly Blades of Khorne units are within 8 inches of any enemy units. Might be it's not a bad idea if he chooses to not really enter combat, but gets close. It's all friendly Blades of Khorne units. That is the key. That's a key thing because it means it does not include the Varangard. So the Vanguard don't have to do. He's choosing the battlefield runs red, which I hadn't got to. It says if 4 or more units were destroyed during this turn.
Ooh.
Joe is
Swinging
going.
for the fences.
Jeff is swinging for the beatdown right now. You know how many units are left on the board?
How many?
There's like 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's exactly 6 units. So Jeff is looking to take out 2/3 of his army between Meteor, Varangard, 1 Soulsworn, a Scarbrand close enough to get to something here.
So what Eversalty was saying is
Yeah.
leave none standing. Might have been a better choice. You pick a friendly unit within 3 of enemy units. Complete it if it fights, and that there are no enemy units within 3. So that unit there in the middle next to that Quester,
Yeah.
Blood Reavers, pick them for that, and then you have Scarbrand go in. You attack with the Blood Reavers first, and then pick up the Soulsworn with Scarbrand.
Yep.
Might have been the better choice.
Well, it's got to be no enemy units within 3 inches of that unit, right?
Yeah.
So you so the that's the hard thing is that the 3 Reavers, 1 Soulsworn.
Well, what you do is you declare it with the Reavers.
Yes.
You charge the Scarbrand.
Yeah.
You have the Reavers fight.
And then they have the ward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a risky play.
it's risky. I think that is a potentially better plan. What do we have?
Joe's finest hour in the improvement.
That
Price
is
goes off on
okay. Yeah. Joe's finest houring his Imperatant, which is I believe that hero that is closest to the Vanguard right there. Makes sense that Vanguard are moving 10 inches and charging that unit. That hero.
Heroic recovery for 3 on the Bloodthirster. So
There
it's,
you go. About time somebody gets a
7
3 on recovery. Yeah, Battlefield Run Red, I think, is a good one this turn.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one this turn because I think this is going to be I think it's a good one this turn because I think this is the last time he has a chance at it.
That's fair.
Because I think he has a very easy chance at killing 3 units this turn. So if you're going to kill 3 units,
4.
no. If you're
Okay.
going to kill 3 units, you might as well try to kill 4.
There you go.
Get the battle tactic, right? Because if you kill 3 units, Joe's not going to be able to summon one and give you a chance again, right?
Yeah, and the other part of it is 4 units destroyed. It's not friendly. It's not enemy. It's just 4 across the board.
It's true. So he could hope that the Reavers die just to.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I'm curious to see. Looks like we have +1 to save on the Scarbrand.
The Bronze Flesh. Got it. So I think that's part of it. It was like this is the turn to do it. You can set up for surround and destroy turn 5. With the Bloodthirster having moved all the way over there, the Vanguard can kill a hero, move to the right, and then the Realm War Ritualist can back out in round 4 and then rush there round 5. You totally have options as you disappear into the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, and that was my thought. Eversalty is it's easier to guarantee the 1
Yeah.
than it is to try to get the 4.
Sure.
And I think guaranteed battle tactics versus sure he wouldn't be able to do it later, but if he doesn't do it now, I think he's in a worse position.
Yeah, and I think that's just what it is. Like what did I say earlier? You judge a Khorne player by the way they thread their battle tactics, and I think Jeff is probably thinking of the long game. It was like, what can I potentially achieve now to keep my options open in the late round if I do just happen to like table him round 3?
Yeah.
Right. Because I think what would be hilarious is if Jeff leaves Joe with like 1 unit and then goes with no Cowards Among Us and just like surrounds the unit so it can't redeploy anywhere and has everything within 8 inches of that unit but like doesn't charge it.
Yeah. So we see the Vanguard coming up on the Lord Imperatant.
Just like I thought they would.
I'm curious what direction you redeploy. If you redeploy closer backward, you give him a better shot of stringing in and hitting 2 units with the Vanguard, versus around and really kind of dictating, hey, you're going to have to make your choice of where you're going. All right, now we're into movement proper. That was 2 murder lusts.
Honestly, if I were to redeploy the Imperial, I would move towards the center of the board. Make it harder for Jeff to get the proper position that he wants, and try to deny a battle tactic out of him later in the game.
Yeah, let's call out the murder lust at the top with the Bloodthirster going into the long strikes, shutting off their Unleash Hell.
Yep.
I think that kind of seals it. That D6 inches really hurts.
Yeah. We got the Killer Instinct plus the Murder Lust, like shutting off Unleash Hell on a unit that wants to unleash hell so badly is huge. And I think now we see like what Jeff's plan was, and especially why he chose Battlefield Runs Red for his battle tactic. He's like, I'm gonna get into these long strikes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into these long strikes. I'm gonna kill a hero. If I can kill both long strikes, a hero and that last Soulsworn has only 2 wounds left. I got it.
Looks like we drop 1 or 2 models from the front unit of long strikes, and so
from the shooting attack, I assume.
Yeah, I could see the 4 units going. You have the 2 units of long strikes, the Vanguard Hunters off to the left, and then whatever hero the Vanguard go into.
Exactly.
Scarbrand barks at the long strikes for 3 mortals. The whip all out attacks.
No surprise there. I would have attacked with Scarbrand as well. First, because of how Joe could pull models.
Yeah, Ezra, you're right. Movement phase is for suckers.
And even I think like Jeff's probably also thinking if he loses the Reavers, cool, that counts towards it as well. We got 1 unit down already. So that's check 1. I see a 3d6 charge, and that is.
Is that a big number? We got a big number?
Yeah. 16-inch charge on 3d6. So that Realmgore Ritualist?
Shot across the board.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, and Vanguard going in.
As expected. He got a 3. I think that was all he needed. Nice 15-inch charge.
From Scarbrand?
Yeah. Yep. All right.
I got to comment on this. I really hate the way Jeff picks up his Scarbrand.
He picks it up by the wingtip.
Yep, and as if Scarbrand doesn't have messed up wings.
Jeff acting like Khorne, this is what you deserve. I took your wings and just to rub it in your face, I'm gonna make you move by what's left of them. You love to see it.
All right, looks like we're gonna have.
So let's take down. We got 1 unit dead.
That's one out of 4.
Yep.
25% of the way there. We're not halfway there, but Jeff is living on a prayer.
Just wait.
Looks like we have the first activation from the Vanguard.
Yes. Honestly,
right.
not that surprised. What are the Vanguard Hunters going to do? Scarbrand is on his top bracket.
And +1 to save.
And plus, +1 to save. Scarbrand's on his best boy, and long strikes in combat are not going to do 9 wounds.
Imperator uses free CP for all out defense. Let's see if he
No
survives.
surprise.
Could we get dice cam back over on the bottom right?
Yeah, sure.
Jeff looking up what Vanguard do.
They roll dice and the unit dies. Question is, what does he have? Does he have both Fell Spears left, or does he have the Ensorcel Weapons left and one of the Fell Spears? Based on that die roll, he has all Fell Spears. That's some pretty good rolls.
2s and 2s on the lances.
Yep.
And that is going to be a dead Imperator, I would say.
But no. He still got saves. He made 1 save. No. 4s.
4?
Yeah. With all out defense.
And finest hour.
Yep.
And then we
But
got
hey,
the hooves.
Yeah, but hey, guess what hasn't been done yet?
Fight twice.
Fight twice.
Maybe. Ooh, who knows? Could be fun.
I want to see the Long Strike's bird pet do more work than the rest of the unit. Absolutely. I'm here for it as well. If those... What does it say? Where's the saves? How much damage has been taken?
Looks like you took 3 damage.
3 damage total? Okay.
Yeah. 2 from lances, 1 from horses.
Okay. The Ensorcel weapon is dead. Okay, good. Appreciate it. Imperator lives. Joe fights with his 1 Questor. He's going to pile around and only hit that Romgor. Don't knock the Romgor, though. Romgor slaps in combat.
That she does.
That she does. See, Jeff is here, the one with the waifu. That's why he wins.
Honestly, I think I'd rather go into the 3 Blood Reavers than that Romgor.
I think his thought is that he probably doesn't kill the Romgor. And hopefully he rolls enough saves on his Questor that the Questor doesn't die, and then he can work to stop the battle tactic.
Unfettered Fury going in at 2s and 2s.
Yep.
I have a feeling those long strikes are going to be picked up.
Just a turn. I believe. Are they 3 up or are they 4 up save? I want to say they're 4 up save.
Should be 4s.
Either way, long sharks are dead, and whoa, we're halfway there.
Whoa, it's because Jeff got a prayer.
Whoa, Jeff got a couple prayers.
All right.
Don't take his hand. You don't know where that blood came from.
All right, and it
Oh,
looks-
and the notably those long strikes were out of range for explosion, so no getting back on.
the Imperator does 4 damage to the Vanguard.
Yep. No surprise there.
So we've got 2 units down.
1.
No.
Oh,
Dead Vanguard.
dead Varangard. Griffhound
Griffhound.
killed Varangard.
There we go.
Yeah, Griffhound. That's right, Eversalty. Ritualist does D6 damage. All right, that's 3.
Hold on. We got saves to make. That's 3.
Oh, I didn't see the last model there. Yep.
All right. Do you think that double active that Vanguard can take out that Imperator?
Either that or the Romgor Ritualist. What we're hoping for.
Oh, I mean, Jeff's gonna roll a 1 on the damage.
Oh, the
so-
damage? Yeah. So the question is how many wounds are in each of them. It's a Stormcast hero.
3.
I'm going to go with 6.
For-
Total health.
for the Imperator.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 6.
I
Okay.
thought you were talking about the Soulsworn.
The Soulsworn has 2 health left. Yeah.
Has 1 left.
1 left? It's only 2 wounds? I thought it was 3
looks
wounds.
Sorry.
There's a die that has 1. That 2 is
There we
on the
go. Yep.
Ritualist. Yeah.
We can figure this out. We're smart enough.
Yeah, we totally can.
Vanguard fighting again.
Vanguard fighting again. No surprise. No surprise.
Hey, you got to get that battle tactic.
You do. You do. I see a decent amount of 2s there. And that's a battle tactic achieved, ladies and gents and non-binary pals.
Saves 1, takes 1.
Saves 1, takes 1. Right on the money.
Well, I mean, I would say that's probably going to be game.
Yeah. Come on, roll the Ritualist, though. I want to see that combat. I want to see you spike that D6 damage, Jeff.
Roll that 1 damage. Roll that 1 damage.
Spike it. He's rolling it. Roll it. Get it.
Is it 5?
5 what?
Oh, we got
5 damage?
damage.
5 damage,
Look who
baby.
called that. And blowing up. Got no mortal wounds.
No more wounds. That leaves Joe with 1 unit left.
1 unit. No real
Real shot
battle
at.
tactics, and off the objective.
Yes. Jeff will take all the objectives he can get, surround, and destroy on his round 5 for sure. What we'll likely see happen is the question is whether Jeff is going to be able is going to be able to and willing to go kill that last wizard.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably just drop a meteor, send the Varangard in. But it's going to be finest hour, all out defense. Either way, we're in the same situation here, saving on 4s against that against all the Varangard's attacks, or at least all the Varangard's fell spears. You're right. Killing 1 unit would have been easier, but killing 5 units was 5 times more metal.
Yeah. So we got 1-2 more in the battle tactic for 15 going into
bottom of 3.
Bottom of 3.
Joe can't even try to do magical dominance.
Joe goes up to 4 primal dice though, so
he does go up to 4 primal dice, but
rolls a 3 on. He's taking magical dominance. Rolls a 3.
It doesn't matter though. I guess you can now if he rolled the double 6s. It's his
Which he does not.
only shot.
He rolled a 5 and a 4
because 2 blood tithe automatically unbinds now.
So it's 4, 8, 13, 14, 17 on the dice, but no double 6s. So
Jeff says no.
Jeff automatically denies that. Fails the battle tactic.
While still having 9 blood tithe.
Yeah.
Trying to look at battle tactics. What does Jeff realistically have for round 4? Because he's not within 3. He can't do leave none standing. He can't really do no cowards among us.
Oh, it looks like we have a hero charging in that Varangard.
Yeah.
Try to take back that
Joe
point.
says, gonna try. What's funny is Joe's being a really kind soul. By charging that encanter, he lets Jeff have leave none standing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the choice. Looks like he's got one.
He went for I'm gonna try to
One
kill
wound
a
left.
Varangard because Stormcast heroes pretty slappy in combat.
3 series minus 1/2 damage.
Pretty much, let any of them get through. It's gonna hurt.
He's gonna have to survive this attack. That's the real thing. Granted, he's off the charge, so it shouldn't be too hard.
I was gonna say 1 Varangard off the charge. I'm not against a 3-up save. I think he should be able to survive and get close. Yeah, Joe is you're right. Joe takes a tactic away if either his hero dies or the Varangard dies.
So Joe gets no points this round.
No, he does not. At 2-2 on that objective.
He does win the priority, and is going to take it.
He's going to try to deny a tactic this time around. I totally agree, Brian, and I guarantee you, Joe charged because screw it, why not?
I'm curious what Joe goes for Magical Mayhem. He's going to try to pop that Varangard.
With the spell? Yeah.
Joe, I don't know how to tell you this, buddy.
He's going for the double 6s.
And it looks like he's going to fail that. Yep.
Yeah, all he has to do is retreat to deny. Yep, he does. Will he, though? Is Joe man enough to stay in combat or not?
I mean, I think what it really comes down to is he kills the Varangard.
He probably does try to kill the Vanguard to still try to stop surround later.
I mean, I think the thing to think about with surround though is you just summon from the skull altar.
That's true, you can.
Yeah, you
But
summon from
I
the skull
didn't know
altar
how
and
far
then-
away I couldn't gauge that distance that well to see if he could summon and still get holy within 6.
So you summon this turn to set up for surround. and
That's
destroy.
true. This is true. You could.
Jeff says tithe to meteor. Vanguard makes the ward. 4 mortal wounds to the Incanter from Meteor.
You know what the funny thing is? I don't think they rolled for the wizard dying. For the previous wizard dying on the Vanguard. Because on a 4-up, when the Vanguard killed that wizard, should have taken D3 damage back.
Yeah, it looks like they didn't. Joe ends turn 4 for 1 victory point with hold 1.
Yep. Good job, little Incantor. Good job. Now, Jeff has to figure out what he wants to do for a battle tactic. If there's even one he can achieve.
And that's right, Azri. Sometimes you just take a dose of Futuserol.
Yep. Yes, you're totally right.
Fusitol.
There you go.
Yeah, Fusitol. I take that for my back sometimes.
You know what's an interesting battle tactic that Jeff could have taken at some point in this game? Endless expropriation. If Joe has Comet out before he dispels it, Jeff can choose that battle tactic. If he can kill that unit, doesn't matter whether the endless spell goes away.
Yeah, I think it's bold strategy, God.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't a good timing this game. He was too far away from the wizard that summoned it. But that is something interesting to think about against strategies that want to summon an endless spell and then dispel it in the opponent's turn. Right? You can choose that beforehand because the endless spell doesn't need to be on the field. You just have to pick a unit that has an endless spell summoned from it. Big brain. Yeah, at this point, I think Jeff has no 4th round battle tactic. And he's just going to send that Bloodthirster in. And more.
I think Jeff goes for, can I get all my units within 8?
Oh, it's possible. Killer Instinct on Scarbrand, run him, and just save killing him for round 5?
I mean, it's the only option that he really has.
Yeah. And summon a unit with the Skull Altar.
Looks like Jeff is officially punting. So, sounds like he took Magical Dominance.
Okay, in that case, why not set up for Surround and Destroy? Otherwise, you're punting on round 5 too for battle tactic.
Yeah, which he did.
Yeah.
But he's playing for the Grand Strat.
Yeah.
I think what he does here is he summons dogs.
Oh no, he is doing the 8-inch thing. So
He's doing the 8-inch thing?
no cowards among us.
Oh, he failed that, so doesn't matter. Just Joe redeployed 6 to deny that.
Yeah. I mean, if this was a round you were going to punt, that's the tactic you pick.
Yeah, and you're right, Govrak. I think Eli may have misspoke when he was talking about it earlier. He was just talking about that it could have been a potential.
Yeah, I was thinking options for earlier to open up options for later, right? It was just something when I was looking at the GHB battle tactics, I was like, oh, hey, that's an interesting thing.
Wizard slap fight.
All right, so Ritualist is going in 1d6 damage against this Incanter. We got a hit. There we go, save.
Okay. I guess the other thought process is that from this position, you're definitely still able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
To get Surround and Destroy, thanks to that Ritualist charging in right there. You can send the Bloodthirster to the top corner. You can summon.
Should have summoned.
Probably should have summoned. Didn't summon.
Yeah, I think he punts. He punts his battle tactic. He does get 1-2 more no battle tactic for 3, so 18 to 11. Joe wins priority. Takes it completely out of tactics ideas.
Or as I say, if Jeff gets priority to round 5 and that Ritual gets priority to round 5, then he gets just kill it, right?
Yeah. Primal cast a Thunder Blast, picks up the Ritualist.
Yep.
And just flees.
Yeah.
Denies Jeff the Grand Strat.
Tries.
Tries. I think he'll be outside of range for. I mean, he gets Bloodbind, so.
It does 3 mortals at point blank. So I guess it takes it off the wall from that.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. There's Bloodblind. There's options. I still think you Killer Instinct and Murder Lust. Joe just metaphorically running his hero away.
And we've got the.
Jeff dropped the meteor.
Oh, Jeff dropped the meteor, so it completely ran off.
Jeff, and looks like we have the handshake there. So Blades of Khorne will take this one. We'll figure out final scores.
I had faith in my boys. Not my chosen god, but Blades of Khorne. Pretty good army.
Joe wouldn't get anything for round 5.
Nope, he gets 0 points.
Jeff gets
1, 2 more, yeah, because I don't think he has a battle tactic.
He might be able to get surround.
He wouldn't be able to, because he wouldn't be able to get Scarf Ram. Right.
So there's nothing surround.
Yeah.
Well, surround and destroy. You get within range of the board edge.
But you have to be wholly within 6.
Wholly within 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far do the Reavers move? 8 inches?
Yeah, but they're not.
Yeah, they're too far.
They go that way, but then you have to. Right. She should have summoned.
So
last turn.
He should have summoned last turn for the guarantee. He can still do it because he can Killer Instinct Scarbrand forward. The Bloodthirster can run, can max run. You Murder Lust all 3 units that you care about. Run the dudes. It would take some high run rolls, but you can still do it. You still just go for it. But yeah, he should have. If he summoned it, he would have been fine.
I guess with Murder Lust.
Yeah, that's what it was like. You got Killer Instinct on 1 unit plus Murder Lust, and you're fine, right? You just got to send Scarbrand down to the bottom edge. You send the Bloodthirster up to the top edge. You send the Reavers over.
Yep.
Killer Instinct on 1 unit plus Murder Lust on your 3 units, and you're fine.
All right.
Plus some high run rolls.
And Jeff gets his grand strategy.
And Jeff does get his grand strategy. He killed all the units.
So it'll be 24.
24 to 11.
Yep.
24 to 11 for Blades of Khorne. Let's go ahead one more time. Last call for the Jeff Smiles giveaway.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's some more stuff on the table.
More stuff on the table.
I think they may be trying to see if he can get the final.
The final battle tactic. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get battle tactic.
It all came down to that first turn charge. I would not agree with that. To say it came down to that first turn charge is to completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Not negate. Invalidate every other choice that they made in the game.
Thank you, Sanguinary Artisan, for entering in that giveaway. And with that, I think we'll go ahead. We're going to close up the giveaway and go ahead and draw. See how this works.
I'm gonna kick it back to you guys.
Yep.
As you just see my beautiful face and Spencer's arm. As the rest of his takes a trip into the Shadow Realm.
It's really all you need.
All right.
It says giveaway is now closed, so I think you
Giveaway's now
successfully
closed.
did it.
Let's
job,
see.
Spencer.
Draw entrance. And it is Zyning. Congratulations.
Congrats.
You win a couple of movement widgets as well as a dry brush palette with
Hell
our
yeah.
logo on it. Congratulations.
Love to see it.
We'll send you a
We'll whisper you in Twitch.
yep, we're going to whisper you on Twitch.
Send you some sweet nothings over the textual internet. And get your details, and we'll send that out to you, my man. This was really fun. What did you think of the game, Spencer?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I think Azri was right. The turn 1 charge
I think it was huge.
really hindered
Yeah.
Joe. I think dropping the Annihilators where he did that second round kind of sealed the deal. Jeff wanted to move into that middle board, and I think maybe pulling them back a little bit more to keep them out, to keep the Bloodthirsters out,
Yes.
may have been better.
I think you're right. I think Joe pulled him in the direction that he wanted to go anyway. If he put him on the left side, like we were kind of talking about, he could spread out, maybe move the long strikes forward a little bit, be able to contest the center of the board, even if it's with units that don't necessarily hold the objectives all that well. But I think really what we saw was just a masterclass in movement from the Blades of Khorne army. What you can really see between Killer Instinct with Murderlust, with big movement shenanigans, with big charges, and being able to use your charges as movement to get into position, right? That is what we saw with that Khorne army. Like we saw on turn 1, Scarbrand and the Unfettered Fury move back into the corner, and then in 3 turns it was all the way at the top of the board and then all the way on the right. They move so much. There's so much little like movement tricks that you can do to kind of move around the board. And honestly, movement and positioning is king in Sigmar. If you can do that well, you'll be able to win a lot of games just by either making it onto objectives to score primary points, denying your opponent to score primary points, and just be able to dictate where things are happening on the board, which is what we said was really important for Khorne in this game, right? Dictate where the combats are, especially where you want them to be, and you'll be fine. He forced Joe to be on the back foot early, and then he got the double turn from 2 to 3 to seal it. Joe really needed that double turn 3 to kind of keep the pressure off. If he does that, if Joe wins a priority into 3, I think he's able to either get rid of the Vanguard or get rid of one of the big monsters, and I think that helps a lot to keep his survivability up, right?
Absolutely. I was here, I promise. Yeah.
You don't get that unit. You don't get it, Asri. No.
Joe first on the interviews, right?
Dragons aren't allowed to move in the hero phase. I won't take it anymore. I refuse. Maybe if we had a bigger board again. Which, honestly, I would love to go back to the bigger board. That extra 12x4 on the side, on the left side there. That extra like 4x44 space. Man, board sizes were great in 2nd edition. I love the old board sizes. It made for you could do some great deployment zone stuff by being further away.
It's me. Do we want to cut to 5 minutes, or do we just want to?
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw them in.
I do agree with that, Eversalty, that Jeff had so much blood tithe that even if Joe does get the prio, summons was just enough to clean up. And we were talking about that earlier in the game, Spencer, that like we could look at the board state all day, but I kept gravitating towards that blood tithe count, and I was like, I don't think it matters what the board state is because Jeff can manipulate it however he wanted with blood tithe. He had the meteor option available, he had summon options available, and he didn't need the big summons. Small summons were going to be good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, I'll go ahead. I'm going to hop out of the way, let Joe sit down and chat with you.
Sarcastically cries over 2-year-old nerfs. It's fair. Some of those nerfs are a little unwarranted. I would not, honestly, like, everyone in our little community here knows how much I hate dragons, and I will only take nerfs to that unit. I will never accept any buffs that go in. I will rage against the dying light. However, I also hate long strikes, and I would not be opposed to Thunderbolt Volley getting pushed back. That was a bit. I thought that nerf was a little heavy-handed.
Oh, at the time it was needed.
I think at the time maybe.
Now
now I think it's fine, but I don't think giving hero phase move to dragons would be good.
No,
I still don't think that's good.
Let's keep that going. That's unfun.
That's fine. Yeah.
You don't want that
No.
many wounds in your deployment zone turn 1.
It's not even just that many wounds. It's the fact that it's a 12-inch move with fly. They could remember they could also charge on the 2-up.
That's right.
And they were doing mortal wound shooting. Like it was a unit that you could effectively not escape from.
Yeah.
And then was also hard to deal with for a lot of armies. But enough about dragons. Let's talk about this game. Joe,
Right.
what are your thoughts?
So I had a good game. I lost.
Yes.
That happens. You know, you either win or lose. It's a 50-50 really. So, man, there's only really 2 points in the game I really want to highlight.
Yeah.
Everything else is just kind of the minutia of playing the game.
Sure.
There was those Annihilators turn 1 failing the charge.
Yes, that was pretty big break for Jeff
Right.
when you dealt 10 wounds to start? No,
12.
He had 12 taken on him
I did
before
12.
that happened.
Yep. So had I connected those Annihilators top of 1,
Oh, Bloodthirster's down.
I put the Impact Mortals into Unfettered Fury.
Yep.
He dies.
Yep.
And then I probably used the 2-inch reach to swing over the Skull Crushers into Scarbrand.
If you don't kill him on the mortals, 1 Annihilator is probably enough to finish off that Bloodthirster, and just whatever you can do into Skull Crushers makes sense.
Yeah. So
You're also just tying that unit down then.
Popping his general top of turn 1 would have been excellent, but that didn't happen.
As someone who plays Seraphon, I know very much how good that can be.
Yes. The other thing was the blizzard.
Yes.
Had the blizzard went off and enabled me to bring in the Annihilators back on those Bloodthirsters.
Unfortunately for you,
That didn't happen.
Skull says no.
Right? But it was a really cool interaction.
Yeah.
Skulls stop it. I throw the primal dice in, and then all of a sudden Matt Robish is looking at 4 different rules, trying to figure out how these interact with. And I was just like, he TOs all of our GTs. He says no, it's good enough.
Yeah, I heard it was a question whether if you got the 2 primal 6s,
Yes.
whether it would go around.
Yeah.
And Skulls, basically it comes down to Skull still has the old wording
Yeah.
that the 2 Blood Tithe used to have, where it says the spell's not successful.
Yeah.
So that gets around it. Whereas
So-
2 Blood Tithe does not.
Yeah, but no. So had either of those 2 points went my way, I think it's a completely different game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are really questioning the Meteor turn 1. But to all those people, I just want to remind you that I did 14 mortal wounds, so suck it.
I was gonna say, I thought the Meteor was a good play
Oh, yeah.
with the way that deployment happened. Ever Salty's calling you out saying you still want that Blizzard Crutch.
Yes, I want that Blizzard
Who
Crutch.
doesn't?
I worked for that. I put my general within 12 inches ready for it, okay? I took the big risk, all right, for the big play.
So my question, I had 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One, is there any way you would have deployed differently
What's up?
to kind of help you?
Okay.
Is there any way you would have deployed differently coming into this matchup, knowing the kind of change on that deployment compared to usual? You don't get your government mandated 18 to 22
Right.
inches,
Where's my DMZ?
and against this army that has a 2-up save, 30 wound brick that can deploy in the center of the board.
So, my deployment, it was hard.
Yeah.
So he used, so there was 2 big pieces of obscuring terrain that he used really well to stop me from getting kind of those auxiliary targets with Thunderbolt Volley. That's why I didn't take a top of 1.
Yeah.
I couldn't have known that I was going to spike 10 mortals
Yeah.
onto the Unfettered Fury in the shooting phase. Had I took the Thunderbolt Volley onto the Unfettered Fury, which was an option,
Yeah.
I could have killed it with long strike shooting,
In hindsight, yes.
which at that point I would not have brought the Annihilators in behind his army.
Yeah.
I probably would have went after the Varangard.
Yeah.
Trade up for the Varangard, and at that point, I still lean on hopefully Horrorfrost to get the 3 Ren to deal with the Blood Crushers from the Questors.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could have deployed any better other than deploying really far back,
Yeah.
giving Jeff the turn, and then playing for the double.
Yeah.
But I'm not very good at taking objectives back once I lose them.
No, you're not.
And
You're
with-
playing a lot of MSU.
Yeah.
You have a low objective model count.
Yeah.
And on this map, your Soulsworn aren't as good.
Yeah. There's
Because
only one objective they count as 18 on.
Yeah.
So that was... I was like, well, I'll go for the Mystic Shield on the Soulsworn. Hopefully I'll get, Ren 2 or 3 on them. He stopped the Horrorfrost. That happens. But, I think in terms of deployment, maybe I could have moved a couple things around, but I think it would have played out about the same.
Okay. And then my second question was that second Annihilator drop.
Yes.
You end up dropping into the middle of the board.
I did.
As opposed to on the other on the side of the board and trying to tag the Bloodthirster, the Rumgor Ritualist, and the Claws of Karanak.
Yeah.
And trying to also pull Jeff's units away from the center. Why did you go towards the center of the board instead of the side?
I felt it in my bones. The double turn was coming.
You felt the double turn
I
was
felt
coming.
the double turn, and I really wanted to free up the Quester Soulsworns for a rally.
Okay.
Just 1 or 2 of those back to bring them either to the 3 or 4
Yeah.
would have been really nice.
Okay.
And I may have tunneled on the Skull Crushers a little too hard, but I overkilled them by like 2 wounds.
As you say, I don't necessarily think you did because I think with that being a natural 2-up save and you don't necessarily have a ton of rend.
Yeah.
You either have to commit to killing that unit.
Yeah.
Or you have to ignore that unit.
Yeah.
You don't have any other option. My thought process was you pulled Jeff in the direction that he wanted to go with
I
the
did.
Annihilators there.
I totally forgot the 8-inch like taunt.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I really wish my Annihilators weren't that close.
To be fair, it sounded like Jeff kind of forgot it too.
No, he didn't forget it, but
He had to look up how far it was?
No, he used it when he needed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
all
As
his
soon as
other-
I saw him pulling the model, so I was like, hey, it doesn't matter.
No, that was the first opportunity for him to get like real good work out of it because there was terrain and that big fight in the middle. Like he couldn't have gotten anything else.
No.
So he used it the turn that it was available, and yeah,
Honestly, it helped him get his Bloodthirster and his Scarbrand into position. Because
and he didn't need it. He rolled some randy like
Those charges
14,
were
15, 18-inch charges.
those
that turn.
charges were nuts. But I mean, like, yeah, I was telling Spencer earlier, like what we saw with the Khorne army was a masterclass in movement.
Yeah.
Right. Killer instinct, murder lust,
Yeah.
runs, 3d6 charges. He moved backwards with his two big boys, and they were at the top of the board. Then they were at the side of the
Yes,
board.
they
Like
were.
they kind of move all over the board.
Yeah. No, he played the army well. I had a couple points, but I think Jeff played the best game he could have played, considering how I played.
All right, one last question before we give it up
Yeah.
to Spencer and Jeff. Is there anything you would have changed over the course of the game,
Oh yeah, no.
or anything you feel you look in hindsight and say that was a really big mistake that I think ushered the loss towards me?
I don't know if I. Well, okay, yeah, no. Don't roll an 8.
That's not necessarily dependent on a dice roll.
I should have killed the Varangard top of 1
Mm-hmm.
with those annihilators, and let that traffic jam behind all the terrain in the shrine. Maybe that could have done something, but in the end, it got him to bring both Bloodthirsters away from the middle.
Yeah.
Which I think bought me a turn, but who knows? The game, there wasn't much gameplay after turn 3.
No.
So the double from 2 to 3 ends a lot of games.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on, Joe. It was
Thank
very
you for
fun
everyone
watching you play. Now let's give it up to Spencer and Jeff. Just going to talk about his win.
Right?
All right.
Victory lap, Jeff. Let's see it. Is it dead? Are you sure?
It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Like,
I've seen laptops take harder falls and survive just as good.
So Joe is attempting to sabotage my laptop in retaliation for losing, even though I was on Team Joe the entire time. So Jeff, congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
Congratulations on making Khorne look good. So how do you feel about the terrain placement, and how much did that really impact your ability to kind of set up and then just weather the storm round 1?
So it was rough both ways because I really couldn't. Normally, what my army wants to do is throw bronze flesh on the skull crushers, shove them in somebody's face, and then basically pin them down, and then basically it's a counterpunch army.
Right.
I just kind of look for holes. I couldn't really put everything in there, and then with the whole like you can actually deploy into combat. So like Joe once he put the Aether Wings there, I knew I had to have like the Blood Crushers or the Skull Crushers back a little bit more. But then the big thing too was that piece of obscuring terrain on the left hand side.
Yeah.
So that I kind of resigned to not put the Skull Crushers right up front, and then I just put everything behind that obscuring terrain. So.
Yeah, I think it really helped kind of brace that front half.
Yeah.
The comet hurt.
Yeah. Oh my God, the comment. Like, what a game though. Like, I was reeling at like if the Annihilators connect that charge. I don't know if I come out of that, because I mean they connect that charge. I probably lose at least my General and Unfettered Fury. So yeah, like he had me really scared. Like I didn't realize the damage that the army did. He spiked those mortals hard.
Yeah.
Comet did a lot of damage. He did give me 3 blood tithe off the Comet. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely kind of a moment watching, but I mean, the 33% chance to just say, hey, I don't take that spell, and also I get benefits for it.
Yeah.
You ended the game with 9-ish. I think you ended up with 12 to 15 blood tithe over the course of the game.
Yeah.
With everything.
And I mean, I think the thing that it gave me, like what it gave me was I just didn't have to think about much.
Yeah.
When I had a surplus, I'm like, yeah, I'll just use it for the Unbind. Like I have all this. So yeah, I mean, it just helped my thought process quicker, because I'm like, yeah, I'm not worried about spending this because I have so much. It doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah. The smash to rubble trick to save your hide. we were talking about in the booth that I don't know if losing the Slaughter Priest is worth the battle tactic. It ultimately worked out for you. But
it was cool.
my viewing it from top down, in the garrison, he was blocking off a large swath of land.
He was, yeah.
For bringing in that second unit of Annihilators.
Yeah.
And my thought process seeing it was stop the Annihilators from even dishing out mortals to your Bloodthirster that's on a few wounds left, and to your squishy hero, you know, that's in the tower.
Yeah.
So I think I was worried, but it was definitely hilarious to see.
Well, like when we realized like we're going through like, all right, what can I do? Like I can't do anything to you. He's like, well, you can smash to rubble, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can smash to rubble. Like I could smash. He's like, you can smash your garrison, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah. If I smash my garrison, roll a 1, my dude dies. I got a blood tithe.
Just talk a little bit louder. Whenever your volume comes down, we can't hear you.
So yeah. So
Turn off the noise gate.
I already did.
Oh, okay. Might be the compressor and stuff. Anyway, yeah. So
yeah, crazy turn of events there, but it worked out.
yeah. How do you view summoning in an army like this, especially considering that you are that counterpunch? You had the blood tithe for it. Is that something that you are considering, you know, round 3 to set up for round 4 and 5?
Like at a GT, yeah. Here I kind of knew at this point like I had such a lead. I didn't summon. Like I don't like summoning, honestly. Like Khorne doesn't like this. At least me as a Khorne player, I don't like summoning, so I typically don't. But yeah, I mean, I if I would go back and be like, I need to score max points. What do I need to do here? Yeah, I should have summoned dogs, so I could have got like surround. There was a few battle tactics I could have got if I would have done that sooner.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't like summoning in general.
So on that, the max points question, we had someone in chat ask, how do you feel about Haywo's reduction in tournament scoring to win, lose, draw? No battle points, no battle tactics, no counts of anything, just win, lose, draw.
Oh, I didn't even know he was doing that. Or
yeah, that's what he was advocating. There was an interview that he did recently where he talked about it, and basically stated that trying to get into a tiebreaker in situations like this, where you have 7,200 players over 5 rounds, you're going to end up with multiple 5-0s. And ultimately, you wouldn't have to have tiebreakers because you just have more rounds.
Yeah.
In Magic, you have however many rounds day 1, however many rounds day 2, until you get to a top 8 where you can cut and go from there.
Right.
But with our time restriction because of the game length, his advocation was just have win, lose, draw, and you give out 5-0s. You give an award for each one.
So the thing I like about that is, I mean, I think it makes for a better game.
Yep.
Because if you're not looking to maximize and pound someone into the dirt all the time, so I think that could help. Actually, Tyler was talking about this too. He messaged me on Twitter, and I was wondering what he was talking about. But yeah, I think it's an interesting concept.
Yep.
And then we just award every 5-0 gets like an award. Yeah.
So it's similar to like the open paint competitions where each piece that is warranting a gold gets a gold.
I kind of like that, honestly. Because I mean, I like giving more awards out.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of why we had Best in Bracket at Smash and Bash, was just to reward more people for playing. So yeah, I kind of have to think about it more, but I think on paper it sounds interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And so going into this event, you picked a Highlander list.
Yep.
How are you feeling? Have you looked at the other lists?
It's just Khorne is so easy to Highlander list. It's like, I thought this was his brilliant idea, and then I looked at all the Khorne lists, and like everyone's Highlander, so it's like,
Yeah, 19 out of 54 lists.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
How are you feeling about your odds going into this event?
No clue.
Yeah.
First event out of state. A little nervous. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the real question is, do you have a display board ready?
I do.
There you go. I mean, hey, you're already 100 points ahead on the hobby score.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do we have any other questions from chat here before we close out for the day, for the evening, and send Jeff and Joe on their way to Missouri? Give that a second. Jeff, do you have any comments that you want to make? Any shout outs? Any questions for the group here?
How did it all go?
Yeah, I think the stream went really well. Obviously, I can't see it on the other side until
Yeah.
afterward. Technology did great. Chad did great. All of the pick routes that we had helping
Awesome.
made it run really smoothly. I think really the only odd thing is the going into the abyss.
The warp.
that comes with
I'm not in the warp. Look at
the
that.
green screen. I couldn't tell you why. It's out of my
Blood
out
for
of
the
my
blood
pay
god?
range. Yeah.
Khorne is pleased.
Do we want to go ahead and announce what next week's stream is going to be?
Yeah, so we do have a couple special things next week. So Tuesday evening, normally when we would have a game stream, we're going to have a Vault Wars recap, where we're going to have Jeff and Joe on to talk about how the event went, give them some questions, and give them a chance to show off all the photos that they take. So Jeff, don't forget to take photos.
I will take lots of photos.
Following that, Friday, the 27th, we're going to have our Slambo GT list review. So we're going to have a few of us online talking about all lists that are going to be going into the Slambo GT, which is in San Antonio at the beginning of November. So if you haven't signed up, if you're interested, if you're in the area, don't mind making a little bit of a drive, get down there. They still have tickets on sale. It's a great group of people. They're going to be giving away, they're going to be raffling away a
Awesome.
really awesome Gloomspite Gets army. So it'll be really fun.
Yeah, really good venue too.
Smash and Bash 24 battle tactics are not secondaries confirmed. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to give us a follow, like us on Twitter, retweet our stuff, tweet us. Can we say that anymore? I don't think we can say.
Access? I don't even know.
Texas. That's right. Texas.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks y'all very much. Have a great rest of your evening. And until next week, may all your dice rolls be sixes. Bye, y'all.
Bye. All.